This is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
It's Cal Raleigh's Derby. 18 home runs in the final, and Cal Raleigh joins Ken Griffey Jr. as the only Mariners champions and becomes the first catcher in 39 years to win the home run derby.
Well, that's what it sounded like last night on ESPN as Cal Raleigh wins this year's home run derby alongside Alex Ferrario and Bradford Bruns. I'm Brandon Kiley. T-Bone out today. He'll be out the rest of the week. We've got this musical chair situation going on next Monday, Alex. It is going to be a beautiful show. And I mean no disrespect to you, Bradford. It's been wonderful to have you in over the last few days.
All good.
Just the typical, like, BK, Ferrario, T-Bone. It's been 5 days since we've had that show, and it'll be another 3 days after that.
I forgot to tell you I'm out next Monday.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Push that
Next
off a little bit longer.
Tuesday is going to be amazing. Are you actually?
I'm just joking. I'm here on Monday. Two ships crossing in the night, boys. That's what we are on BK and Ferrario.
So we will have our full show eventually, but today it is Alex Ferrario that's in, T-Bone out. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. YouTube chat is available for you, as always, at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. All right, Alex. Let's talk a little bit about the Derby from last night.
Oh, yeah.
Because you came in today, old man yelling at clouds, ready to go, talking about how much you, frankly, did not enjoy the Home Run Derby. I said, what was your takeaway from it? You said that it sucked.
Boring.
All right, let's get into it. What fell flat for you last night?
I think it was just the star power, man. And maybe this is just against me, like the big dumper. That's one for you, Bradford. I got a big dumper count today. That's two. It was great to see him in there. James Wood, I think was great to see him in there. And Brent Rooker. Like those three, I totally understand it because those three right now, they're young. They got the star power. It's just everything else. I don't know. I didn't have any interest of seeing Byron Buxton in the Home Run Derby or Jazz Chisholm in the Home Run Derby. And look, I get it. It's in Atlanta. But you're going to give me Matt Olson? Can't give me Ronald Acuna Jr.?
They tried.
Totally understand
He said, actually, no.
And that right there, to me, is kind of where it falls flat. I think the Home Run Derby used to be that thing that it would just get so exciting because you have all these big names a part of it. And now it's just, and I understand it's part of it is you're trying to showcase the younger talent, right? Junior Caminero. I'm not good at Spanish. Young stud. But for me, I don't know if I was that excited about it. O'Neal Cruz, young stud. I don't know if I was that excited about it. That's where it fell flat a little bit for me, to where it's like, look, you've got these guys that have that star power, and then you've got these younger guys that you don't know too much about, and you want to see that star power compete. With the Yankees, I'd have much rather seen an Aaron Judge in this one over a Jazz Chisholm. But I understand. These guys don't want to perform in this tournament because this is their opportunity to kind of sit back a little bit.
And they've done it.
Yeah.
Like, this is my thing with, so it's a little different, but people get really upset about the dunk competition now because the stars don't
even tune into that.
And there's some truth to that. Like, stars have decided, I'm not doing the dunk contest. There's no upside for me. And I agree with them, to be totally frank with you. The three-point competition is now where the stars go. If you are a star, you want to participate in that, right? So that has become the marquee event for the NBA. I think the Home Run Derby is still that for Major League Baseball. This is the event. Last night is where you put your stars on a stage, and I got to be honest with you, Alex, I think they did. I think they put their biggest, the guy that they are trying to sell you, this is his season, is Cal Raleigh. This guy is 28 years old. He leads all of Major League Baseball with 38 home runs this year. He is doing that as a primary catcher and a switch hitter. Mm-hmm. He has a chance to be top 2 in MVP as a switch hitting catcher while hitting 60 home runs this season. Like, we are through 95 games. He is at 38 home runs. I don't think he will do it, but he has a chance to battle with that Aaron Judge fake home run record that they made up for the American League a couple of years ago, because nobody's ever going to go up there with the likes of Barry Bonds. So now we have to pretend as if the real record is the American League record, which is not
you hated that.
I thought it was so stupid, but it is what it is. And it was a big deal for baseball. They really sold it for you. Like Cal Raleigh, this is his year. Mm-hmm. He participated last night. He won the whole thing. For that reason and that reason alone, I thought it was actually a pretty darn good showcase of like what they hope is, what they believe will be the next era of Major League Baseball, right? Pete Alonso had his time. He was an amazing participant in the Home Run Derby. We got all kinds of memes out of it. It was this great storyline. Whether you loved him or hated him, he was a guy that you could really get behind. Like, I am going to watch this event for Pete Alonso. Yep. They now need to create the next version of the event. So I thought it fell short in a few different ways, and we can get into those. But the fact that Cal Raleigh was in it, he won it despite maybe cheating. Not him, baseball. I thought it was a pretty cool event for them. And I thought Junior Caminero was awesome. That dude is a stud. Crazy power. I thought it was really great that O'Neal Cruz was a part of it. His first round was ridiculous. It was 516-foot home run. I thought it was overall a pretty good event, all things considered. But it did not have the same name recognition as it has in previous seasons. And I think part of that is just because Cal Raleigh has not caught on nationally yet, despite him having the production this year that should be catching on nationally.
And some of it's the teams, too, right? Like, you've got an athletics player, you got a Nationals player, you got a Seattle player, a Tampa Bay player, and the big team names was Jazz Chisholm from the Yankees and Matt Olson from the Braves. And again, it just totally surface level view on it, because I was pumped about the Cal Raleigh stuff. Like, that was fun for me because I wanted to see what he was going to do in this. It just fell flat, at least for the other participants, but there were more that went into it because some of the rules are just dog poo. Like the tiebreaker, what are we doing, man?
That has to change.
You cannot, because that actually was probably the most entertaining matchup throughout the Home Run Derby, was Rooker and Raleigh.
So we should mention this. Yesterday, it was the first round. They switched this up a couple of years ago. Personally, to me, this is the thing that needs to be changed back to what it was prior to. Yesterday, it was just like 8 guys go up there, try to hit as many home runs as they possibly can, and the top half of that group then moves on to the second round, and they're put into a bracket style, right? You get the final 4 and then into the championship. So in the first round, Brent Rooker hit 17 home runs. Cal Raleigh hit 17 home runs. And so I was like, all right, well, we got a tiebreaker here. And then baseball comes around, and they're like, yes, there is a tiebreaker, and it is the distance of your longest home run. And we have determined, based on StatCast, that Cal Raleigh hit his a foot further than Brent Rooker. So Brent Rooker, after the event had taken place, was asked about this, Alex, and as you can probably imagine, because there's $1 million on the line, he was not thrilled about the fact that that opportunity was taken away from him by a tiebreaker that he didn't know existed.
You know, maybe if they have it to the decimal point, they should display that during the Derby and not wait till everyone's done to bring out that information. That might be helpful.
I love it.
I think they should go back to the bracket style.
Yep.
The first round took an hour and a half. Just too long. They should go back to the bracket style where all 8 players are put into a bracket. It's not 100% fair, but it is what it is. And then you break things down from there. And if you have a situation where the 2 guys are tied at the end of a round, have them do a swing off. Do like, hey, you get 5 swings. Let's see how many you're able to hit. And then we find out from there. I personally think that's an easy way to fix that.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it is, Alex, in part about the name recognition. And if you're not interested in watching Matt Olson or Byron Buxton or Brent Rooker or a young player like James Wood or Junior Caminero, I can't change that for you. And that's to every individual person. You get to choose whether or not these names are of interest to you.
Yeah. And to me, it was 3 guys that I was interested in. It was Wood, Rooker, and Raleigh. And then from there, it kind of felt like it fell flat on this one. But again, some of this is just what All-Star weeks are, right? Like a lot of these guys, a lot of the ones that you'd like to see in the Derby, they're participating and starting in the All-Star game. Right. So they're not trying to do 2 consecutive days of working in this. A lot of this is teams don't want these players to perform in it because you want to make sure they're healthy for the second half. It's just what All-Star weeks have come to. NHL was this way where guys just kept opting out because it wasn't worth their time. you do want the young stars to go up with this one. And look, next year we could be talking about Caminero and Cal Raleigh part 2, part 3, part 4.
Exactly.
But I think when I told you Pete Alonso, it's like I would have watched because I would have hate watched. Put Pete Alonso in over Jazz Chisholm because I don't need to see Jazz Chisholm in this.
Pete chose not to.
And see that
it was Pete's decision.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been doing this now for like a decade.
And there's a lot of these guys that do that. And that's just where I think it loses its illustriousness, if that's a word, Bradford.
Luster, you were close.
Illustriousness is what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
When you've got guys that say, we just don't want to do it.
But he did. I mean, I would argue the opposite of that. Like, Pete did his duty.
Totally.
He did basically like his tour for the Home Run Derby. He did everything he could for the event. The event was better. It was bigger. It felt significant in part because Pete Alonso did it for as long as he did. And now it's his turn to hand things over to the next generation. And so this year, you had 7 first-time participants in the event. I think that's good for the game. You need to start developing what the next version of Pete Alonso is going to be. So at the beginning of that, it always feels light. It always feels as though you are lacking that name recognition because you don't have the same built-in, like, I've seen this specific duo match up together before in the Home Run Derby, right? You at the front end, you don't feel that. But this could be the first year that James Wood is in there for the next 5, right? James Wood did not have a very good round yesterday. I thought he was going to win it. Didn't go well for me. He next year may come back and do this again along with O'Neal Cruz. And maybe next year you get Cal Raleigh back in it since he was this year's winner. And now it's like, okay, year 2 of these guys being around. Now they're really starting to build on this thing. So I think baseball did not do necessarily a poor job with it, like the Jazz Chisholm inclusion. What are we doing, guys?
Yeah, that's the one that
you got 3. 1.
Is Jazz Chisholm even known as a home run hitter?
No, that one was
he's a slap
weird
hitter,
from the very
Alex.
beginning.
Yeah.
But I looked this up earlier today because I was curious about it. Like, Cal Raleigh is probably going to finish top 2 in the MVP voting this year. Do you guys know when the last time was that we got a home run derby winner that finished in the top 2 in his respective league in MVP voting for that season?
Pete Alonso didn't do it?
Wasn't Bobby Abreu, I'll tell you that.
2017, the first time that Judge was a participant.
Wow.
That was the last time that we saw what Cal Raleigh has a chance to do this year. So for all the lack of star power, one of the biggest stars in the game right now, who could win MVP, probably will finish second in the MVP in the American League side of things. That guy won the Home Run Derby this year. Pretty good. Pretty good if you're Major League Baseball to put that guy on the biggest showcase event that your sport has this week.
Look, man, you can try and sell it all you want. I was bored.
I think basically if you liked yesterday, this is my personal take on it. If you liked yesterday, it's probably because you are interested in Cal Raleigh. If you didn't like the event yesterday, it's probably because you don't have much of an interest in Cal Raleigh. And that's okay. I'm not telling you you've got to be interested. Some people didn't really find Mike Trout to be particularly interesting. The guy's one of the best baseball players ever. If you didn't find him interesting, that's cool, man. A lot of people didn't. He could walk down the street and, I don't know, 49 different states in America and people wouldn't recognize him. So like that, you're not alone in that regard. But Cal Raleigh's a really excellent baseball player. And he's a very unique player as well.
Do you worry, though, BK, about furthering, if you're Major League Baseball, furthering his momentum because of the market in which he plays? He seems buried in the Pacific Northwest. This is a New York we're talking about. It's not another coastal outfit. That would be my one fear as far as building the star power of a Cal Raleigh, because largely over the last few years, Seattle's been irrelevant. The time zone plays into it, too. The market size, that would make me worry just a tad.
I don't know. I look at, like, Alex Rodriguez was a pretty big star in his career. Ichiro Suzuki was a pretty big star in his career. Ken Griffey Jr. was a pretty big star in his career. You can be a star in Seattle. LeBron James was the biggest star in the NBA. He played in Cleveland. Patrick Mahomes is the biggest star in the NFL. He plays in Kansas City. Peyton Manning at one point was the biggest star of the NFL. He played in Indianapolis and then eventually in Denver. These are not massive markets, right? You can be a huge star in your respective sports, regardless of where you play, whether that be coasts, that be somewhere in the Midwest. Like, you can be a big star. I think some of this is about Cal Raleigh. The guy's nickname is the Big Dumper.
There it is, number 3.
You know, I mean, he's not your traditional baseball star. He plays catcher. He's a switch hitter. He's known as the big dumper because he's got a big ass. Like, this is, again, not your traditional baseball superstar. And yet he goes about it a specific kind of way, and he's really freaking good. Guy's an unbelievable hitter, and he's hitting a boatload of homers this year, both during the regular season and last night in the home run derby. So I was entertained by it. I do think they should make some slight tweaks. I would go back to the bracket in the first round. I do think they need to change that tiebreaker that you were talking about, Alex. Beyond that, I thought it was, relatively speaking, a good night for baseball.
Yeah, and one more, too. Can we make sure that everybody that's attending in the outfield catching fly balls doesn't rob home runs? Because I felt bad for the kid, but then I'm like, dude, you're at a home run derby. What are you doing? Stop trying to be Jim Edmonds out there. Leave the damn ball alone. But that was just
thankfully accounted.
Yeah, but then they stopped it, and these guys are all like pumping up Junior and me like, hey, man, don't worry, that one's going to count. All you needed to do was the kid to realize he was at a home run derby. That was the equivalent of a slam dunk contest, and one of the participants just runs up and swats the ball out of the guy's hand when he's about to dunk it.
Somebody in the text line said, guys, Cal Raleigh is not a good hitter. He's just a good home run hitter. He's hitting 260 this year with a 375 on base percentage, and he's hit 16 doubles and 38 home runs. I think he's a pretty good hitter.
No, you were thinking of Chris Davis of the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, he's got a 82 ribbies. If he was playing in St. Louis, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think you'd probably enjoy watching him.
You'd build a statue for him here if he was doing that.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to dive into some NFL quick hitters. We'll be joined by Jeremy Rutherford in the 12 o'clock hour and Jeff Marek. He spent some time with us this morning. We have a two-part conversation with Jeff Marek breaking down all things St. Louis Blues. That is coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. If you guys want to get involved, there are two places to do so. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. And the YouTube chat is off and running, as always, at youtube.com/101ESPN Coming up next, Alex and I have differing perspectives on what yesterday means for Bowen Byram and his sweepstakes on the trade market. Did it end yesterday, or did it make it even more likely that Bowen Byram is traded? We'll talk about that next here on BK and Ferrario.
The Spread Zone, where sports betting meets reckless optimism, questionable logic, and the occasional stroke of genius. With hosts Anthony Stalter, Tim McKernan, and Scott Rizzuto. Check out the latest from the Spread Zone at 101ESPN.com or the 101 mobile app. The Spread Zone is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Classic Air Care. My family and I got back from vacation on Sunday, and let me tell you, it's just a nice feeling walking home and feeling that AC in your house and knowing that your air conditioner was in good shape while you were gone. And that comfort knowing was because of the comfort that Classic Air Care provides. They've been making people comfortable since 1926. And what it is I'm a part of the maintenance agreement. This is how I always feel confident in my HVAC system, no matter the age. Twice a year, the fall and the springtime, Classic Air Care comes out. They check the unit. They clean the unit. They fine-tune it. They make sure that it's going to get me through the upcoming heat or the upcoming cold with the winter and summertime. But when issues pop up, and look, everybody has issues at some point, but when you're a part of that maintenance agreement, they will get somebody out there within 24 hours of you calling. You get priority scheduling because you're a part of that maintenance agreement with Classic Air Care. And they've got over 100 vans that are out on the road, which means they will guarantee that you'll get a response within 24 hours. And they run 7 days a week and have after-hour techs available if you have any emergency. So give them a call today. Schedule online. Just do me a favor and tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. It's Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK. All right, so Bowen Byram officially signed a contract yesterday, Alex.
Woo!
2 years, $12.5 million in total. So a little more than $6 million per season over the 2-year deal. This will take him up to free agency. Makes all the sense in the world. Did this make it more likely that Bowen Byram is traded prior to the start of the season? Or did it end all discussion about a potential trade for Bowen Byram? We have differing perspectives on this.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on the Bowen Byram, left-handed defenseman from the Buffalo Sabres, been in trade talks all offseason. The Buffalo Sabres GM even came out and said, hey, we like Bowen Byram, but yeah, if a trade makes sense for us, we're going to go ahead and explore that this offseason, considering his RFA status and his our relative unwillingness or inability to get a long-term deal done with him. So the Blues had been connected to Byram previously. We talked to the Buffalo Sabres beat writer, and he said, yeah, Jake Neighbors for Byram makes sense. Otherwise, not sure how there's a deal to be made between the Sabres and the Blues. All right, that's the backdrop. Now I'll ask you again. What did yesterday, him signing this contract, do, if anything, for the potential of him being traded this offseason, Alex?
I think it makes it more likely that he gets traded. Now, again, it's two to tango, and you need somebody that's willing to pay the price. But I think now that he's signed to this contract, it to me tells me that, look, Buffalo knows they got him until he's an unrestricted free agent. At some point, maybe the ask goes down a little bit for Buffalo compared to wanting an NHL player. And I understand they can just keep Bo. They've got 2 years of him. 6.25 is a hell of a deal for this type of player. But if you're Buffalo, the goal right now is to make the playoffs. And Byram has been there for a couple of years, and you have yet to make the playoffs. Byram's role is going to start diminishing for the team because he's not going to get number one power play time or even, frankly, 2 power play time because they've got a couple of other guys that are in that spot. He's got to play his offhand, probably second pair because they've got a couple of guys that they're pretty excited about. And if you're Buffalo, the 2 areas you're weakest in are goaltender and wingers, and you need those pieces to help you win. And I understand Kevin Adams has been saying, look, we want NHL players or we're not trading them. That's fine. But as soon as the season begins, the ask of an NHL player begins to diminish. The longer the season goes, the less you're going to get in return. And if you're Buffalo, if you miss the playoffs this year, and let's say you get to the trade deadline, you're the last place team in your division, Byram's been fine, and teams at best are going to offer you a first-round pick. Does that make you closer to being an NHL team versus if a team's saying, look, we're not giving you an NHL player, but we will give you our best prospect that is closest to the NHL, so maybe he's not ready this year, but maybe next year he's playing the wing for you in the top 9 and can help you produce. That's why I really wonder now that Buffalo, hey, we've got a timeline, it's now and then, but a perfect example to me is what Jacob Chychrun was. Now, I understand it's a different scenario because Arizona/Utah was in a position where they wanted draft capital rather than players that could help them. But when Chychrun was traded from Arizona to Ottawa, he had 3 years left on his contract. He got a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. The following year, when he was traded from Ottawa to Washington and had 1 year left on his contract, he was traded for Nick Jensen, who was a 33-year-old third-pair defenseman.
He's Justin Falk.
He's Justin Falk. Nick Leddy, maybe. And a third-round pick. So that's where Buffalo's at. As much as you want to, the goal for them is to make the playoffs. You can't miss the playoffs anymore. It's 17 straight years. You want an NHL player. Cool. Every single team has told you you're not getting an NHL player. But you can get the best draft or the best prospect in our system. If you don't want that, then you better be cool with a first-round pick at best going into next season.
You're thinking logically. I think they're thinking emotionally.
Well,
we've got to make the playoffs, right?
That's what got them to 17-year drought.
Agreed. I would also say this. Like, if my goal is to make it to the playoffs this year, I'm keeping Bowen Byram. Because if you're telling me I can't get an NHL player, I'm getting a guy that you believe, Alex, for the Blues is not ready to play in the NHL. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why Dalibor Dvorsky, let's throw his name out there.
Yeah.
If they're offering me Dalibor Dvorsky, for good player, really high upside, I'm not sure he's ready to be in the NHL right now. He certainly, I don't believe, would make it to the Buffalo Sabres top 6. Like, they've got Ryan McLeod, who we've been talking about as a potential second-line center for the Blues. He's playing third-line minutes right now for Buffalo. I'm not trading Bowen Byram for that, who's on my top pair defensively currently. He's playing 23 minutes a night for me this year. and I'm just going to willy-nilly trade that for a prospect that might fit into my plans in the middle six, I don't know, starting next year, like 2026, 27. No, I'm not doing that. If you want to trade me Jake Neighbors, I'll go ahead and make that deal. Otherwise, let's go ahead and see what this looks like for this season. If I'm in the Buffalo Sabres situation, I can make a deal at the deadline. I can make a deal next offseason, or I can make a deal at the following trade deadline. I've got 3 more outs to potentially trade Bowen Byram. I don't have to make this move right now. He's on a more than reasonable contract. He's very young. He's playing top pair minutes for me, and he makes my hockey club better than what I get by trading him somewhere else. I'm not making that move until I'm absolutely forced to. And if people think that Bowen Byram is good, if they believe that Bowen Byram's a really good player, they should continue to hold out on something, because I don't think those futures are drying up. I think you'll still be able to get a first-round pick, top prospect, something like that, regardless of where you're at. In the next offseason, if you want to trade him again, you could have a team sign and trade with you where they can start to negotiate some kind of a long-term contract after July 1st with Bowen Byram, so then you get the return you're still looking for. I think there are just so many outs here. I think yesterday's news made it much less likely that we see Bowen Byram traded at some point prior to the start of this season.
Yeah, I think with who his agent is, and Elliot Friedman was the one that reported that he's the guy that likes to take his players to free agency. The sign and trade option is always there, but it makes teams water down the return when they are unsure if he's willing to sign a contract extension. And so that's where you get into you don't know if this player is going to help you. And I mean, at the trade deadline, teams get way too aggressive with it, but we also see at the trade deadline, sometimes teams just say, no, it's not worth me trading this player. Keep him and then let him walk.
I mean, think about a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs last year, who traded for Scott Laughton, who ended up being a 4th-line center for them. They hoped would be a 3rd-line center. They give up a first-round pick and a real prospect for him. Or Brandon Carlo, right? Good player. Gave up huge capital to be able to acquire him at the deadline as well. I just think we're going to see Bowen Byram, a big puck-moving, top caliber defenseman, top pairing defenseman that can play on either side. I don't think that's a kind of guy that typically loses his value at a deadline.
The other part of this, too, that if you're Buffalo and you start thinking logically with this, you have to wonder, it's like, can he stay healthy? Because if he gets injured, that causes people to not want to pay the right. And he does have a history of not being healthy. Does he take a step back? Because we heard Matthew tell us from The Athletic with the Buffalo Sabres that if he's not playing with Rasmus Dahlin, he's not great. So do you force him to play with Dahlin?
He also then said, though, so you play him with Rasmus Dahlin.
Sure, but that's not how teams operate all the time. Sometimes they have another player, this kid that they drafted 8th overall, Radim Murtka, they just signed him to a contract. They believe he could make their team this year. He's a puzzle piece that doesn't fit into the whole for Buffalo, and that's why I really wonder. He's got the contract now. So as much as you want an NHL player in return, I don't know if a team's willing to give you that. But Dalibor Dvorsky's not close to making this team this year. But is he closer to making the Buffalo Sabres this year? Because they don't have the same type of team that the Blues do. That's where I wonder if Buffalo starts to look at this and say, hey, we know what the landscape is. We know what a couple of years are going to look like in the return. Can we get somebody, can we take the ask a step down and still get somebody's best prospect that makes us better for the long haul?
He's Alex Ferrario. That is Bradford Bruns. I'm Brandon Kiley. We'll talk about all of this with Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues insider, coming up at 12:15. We will also talk it over with Jeff Marek, one of my favorite NHL national analysts. He is the host of The Sheet for the Daily Faceoff. He will join us for a 2-part conversation coming up at 1 o'clock. If you guys would like to be involved in the show, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. We also have the YouTube chat off and running at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. That is where Dave, STL Lunatic, Eric, we've got Mac over there, DJ Patty Cake, Splashback Deuce, iRock. We got a bunch of people hanging out over in the YouTube chat. You can hang out with them as well. youtube.com/101ESPN STL. Coming up next, we're going to dive into some NFL quick hitters with a wide receiver who's gone crazy and thinks he has a hell of a lot more leverage than he actually does. And ESPN came out with their 25 best teams of the last 25 years. Do the Rams have any teams from the St. Louis version that made that list? We'll tell you next year on 101 ESPN.
Open up your 101 mobile app for your chance to win a pair of 4-day passes for Major League Pickleball. Sponsored by Stella Artois. July 17th through July 20th at Chaffetz Arena. 101 ESPN listeners can get a special discount on single-day and 4-day tickets by using the code WXOS. Find all the details on that special discount code and that chance to score free 4-day passes for Major League Pickleball. Sponsored by Stella Artois. Right now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app.
Hey, it's BK from my friends at Victory Men's Health. It is time to unlock your inner champion. There's one place to do so. It is with Victory Men's Health. Check them out today online at victorymenshealth.com. When you go over there, you'll be able to read about all of the different options that they have for you to unlock your inner champion. Whether that means low testosterone symptoms for you, you don't have the same energy that you once did, your workouts are not giving you the same results as they used to, those could be due to low testosterone. They can check those levels for you over at Victory Men's Health. When they do so, they'll let you know where you're at and if you're in that healthy range for adult men. Even if you are, though, you might be on the lower side of that. They can boost you back up to the upper range of the normal spot for adult men. They can do that for you over at Victory Men's Health. They can also help you with erectile dysfunction, weight loss goals. They have a supplement shop. They've got red light therapy programs. It's also just a beautiful state-of-the-art location. And speaking of locations, they've got 4 of them. O'Fallon, Illinois, O'Fallon, Missouri, Sunset Hills, and the location that I personally go to is over in Town and Country. It's all available for you today at Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com.
Now listen to 101 ESPN On Demand. Get caught up on all our shows and podcasts at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. 101 ESPN podcasts are presented by the Schaefer Door Company. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
All-Stars descend on the ATL. Good morning, I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Tonight at 6, 101 ESPN will spotlight baseball's best in this year's Midsummer Classic. Pirates ace Paul Skeens draws his second straight start, while American League skipper Aaron Boone turns to Tarek Skubal. About 14 hours ago, Cal Raleigh was turning heads, home run derby style. Seattle's catcher outlasted junior Caminero. MLB Draft Day 2, St. Louis further bolsters its pitching. 3 hurlers selected right away, including OU lefty Cade Crossland. STL previously picked another southpaw, Liam Doyle, 5th overall. Doyle's former coach, Tennessee's Tony Vitello, offered an exciting assessment.
I think there'll be 2 pitches that you all can call big league pitches, and the fastball is outstanding, and he's got a plus changeup and splitter. So a 4-pitch repertoire, a guy that'll take the ball whenever you want to, give it to him. And when he goes out there, he is literally going to give his all.
That full conversation featuring BK plus Tanner now available online. Your Sports Center updates driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
All right, Alex, let's dive into some NFL quick hitters. Let's start out with a news story that I was not anticipating us seeing yesterday.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Juwan Jennings' work?
Yeah, the now number 2 receiver in San Francisco.
Some would argue number 1, considering Brandon Ayuk is hurt, or at least coming off of injury.
He'll be fine.
And they have traded Deebo Samuel. So they have their first-round pick from a year ago, plus Juwan Jennings. You've got Christian McCaffrey. You've got George Kittle. Still a decent group of receivers. But Juwan Jennings, I think, would be one of the people that would argue, yeah, I'm the number 1 guy now. He's making $7.5 million in the final year of his deal. And according to Adam Schefter of ESPN.com, quote, he wants a new contract or a trade, end quote.
Okay, so we're back to this again.
Does Juwan Jennings have that kind of leverage?
I guess when you're the number 1 guy for a team, sure.
But, okay, you want a new contract or you want to trade?
We'll trade you.
Then don't play. And that's what I would say if I'm the 49ers. Okay, not everybody gets the treatment that we gave to Brandon Ayuk. And Juwan Jennings, you, sir, are not Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, but in his eyes, I'm the number 1 wide receiver, so you better pay me or you're not going to have a number 1 wide receiver.
Cool, then sit out and lose millions of dollars this year. Yep. I think these teams sometimes get it so wrong with this stuff. He's going to miss out on $50,000 a day for every day that he misses at training camp. Guys, he's only making $7 million this year. That stuff adds up. If you miss all of training camp, I can't remember what the exact figure is. I think it's like $1 million or $2 million over the course of the entirety of training camp that you would be missing out on if you're Juwan Jennings. So you're willingly giving up a third of your salary, a fourth of your salary, just to prove a point? And then if the team calls you on your bluff, which they probably will, now you just show up for the first week of games? It's crazy to me. Juwan Jennings, you're a really good football player. You're probably going to get paid after this season, but man, you don't have this kind of leverage. I'm sorry. You're not Garrett Wilson.
That's the thing I don't get. If you want to get paid, why not go out there and be like, cool, I'm the number 1 guy. Ayuk's going to be hurt. If I go out there and dominate, then I could go to the table and say, I want all of the money.
Exactly.
But to say it before the season even begins when you're projected to be the number 1 guy, I don't understand that.
I'm not even sure, honestly, that he is a cut above a Ricky Pearsall at this particular point.
Similar,
he averages 12.5 yards. He's not a game breaker. He doesn't have the hands, obviously, of an Ayuk when healthy. What is your point, frankly?
He's a big slot.
Yeah.
He's a really nice, usable, big slot receiver that's probably worth closer to like $15 million a year, but he signed the contract, and now he's asking to re-up before it's over. If you are Deebo Samuel, if you are Terry McLaurin, if you are Garrett Wilson, who yesterday signed a 4-year, $130 million contract that makes him one of the highest paid receivers in the NFL, you get to do that before your contract is over. If you're Juwan Jennings, you do not. Alex, what'd you think of the Garrett Wilson contract yesterday with the Jets?
I thought if you're the Jets, you have to pay it, but
100%.
I mean, you're paying a guy to be elite without a quarterback that you believe can get you to the promised land. So, I mean, if you're them, you got to do it no matter what. It's kind of like the Dallas Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb. You got to pay him. It's just cool. You're going to be the number one wide receiver on our team, the highest paid guy, but you've got no success to show for it.
You had to do it.
Yeah.
He's going to go into this year, and if nothing else, at least the money will hopefully keep him happy because, man, if Justin Fields ends up being their starting quarterback, like, I like Justin Fields. I think he brings some things to the table that are helpful as a starting quarterback. Being the number one receiver for Justin Fields does not seem like a super fun thing to be in the NFL nowadays. So, yeah, it was a smart move. I think it was worthwhile. The price only goes up with these receiver contracts. Worthwhile to get it done. All right, next thing up for NFL quick hitters here in BK and Ferrario. Over at ESPN.com, they had a ranking today because it's mid-July.
Because it's the offseason.
The best teams of the last 25 years, since 2000, who have been the best teams in any individual season that we have seen. Number one on the list is my number one as well, the 2007 New England Patriots. I know they didn't win the Super Bowl. I don't care. That's the best team that I've seen in my lifetime. Do you guys agree with that as a starting point, that the Patriots are the best team of the last 25 years in 07?
Yeah, I agree with it.
Regardless of the end result, best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Their number two team was the 2013 Seahawks. I'll go through the top five for you. Number three surprised me a bit. The 2004 New England Patriots. That was the Corey Dillon season when he was their starting running back. He was awesome for them that year. Number four on this list is this past year's Philadelphia Eagles. The 2024 Eagles were number four of the last 25 years. And number five, this one really surprised me, was the 2017 Eagles that won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles as their starting quarterback. I would not have them at that high. I thought they were a very good team. There was a lot that had to go right for that team to win the Super Bowl. And I'm not just even talking about in the Super Bowl, but you guys remember that game against Atlanta where they needed like that crazy Hail Mary situation like right before halftime to be able to win that game as well? I would not have them probably in my top 10, much less in my top 5.
That was a flawed team I wouldn't have up there. So a couple that I had in mind that I would have had towards the top 5 was the 01 Rams.
They ended up at number 10 overall, the 2001 Rams.
Yeah, I mean, they scored the most points in the NFL that season.
100th percentile according to this list on offense. They were the best team of the last 25 years offensively, according to this.
Still a top 10 team defensively, so it's like, why wouldn't you be at that one? So that was one that I had in mind. I would
have them well above that 2017 Eagles team, for example.
Yeah, I had the 07 Patriots as my number one team. Like, that one, to me, was just dominant from top to bottom. And then I was expecting, and I'm surprised that they didn't have the 15 Broncos on there.
Oh, I did not think that team was very good.
I thought they just had the pieces and their defense was elite.
Their defense was elite. Their offense stunk.
Yeah,
that team was so bad offense. They did not make the top 25.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I always thought that was when they had
2015 Panthers, I thought were better than the 2015 Broncos, but the defense obviously showed up in a big way in that game. I always think that the teams that are most interesting to me are kind of like the 2001 Rams. The teams that are just so unbelievably elite on one side of the ball that it just doesn't really much matter what the other side is.
Right.
The Broncos, I thought, were very good defensively. The 2002 Bucks, for example, fit into this criteria where they were just dominant on the defensive side of the ball. You had John Lynch, you had Simeon Rice, you had like 4 future Hall of Famers, I think it was, on the defensive side of the ball alone. That team was unreal. They ended up at 6 on this list. Another one that I would definitely have above the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles, for example.
How would you also feel about the 2000 Baltimore Ravens? Number 13 on that list. To me, that's a bit low because if you want to talk about singular performance, of which that team had many on the defensive side, very few were better.
That was one of the first Super Bowls that I remember watching as a kid, was that one. I think the team that you're thinking of, Alex, by the way, Are you thinking of the 15 Broncos where they were great defensively, or did you? I thought the 13 Broncos was the team that was unbelievable to me, but it was the offense that was so good.
Yeah, no, I thought it was the 15 one because 13 wasn't Peyton, right?
It was. Yeah.
Oh, it was Peyton. So maybe that was the one that I was thinking of. Yeah, because I remember Demaryius Thomas and I remember who was their tight end. Big dude. Like they had 3 guys and then they had Emmanuel Sanders.
Thomas as well, right? Julius Thomas?
Yes.
Yeah, Julius Thomas. Thank you. Yeah, and Emmanuel Sanders. And then the defense was just elite. So maybe I was thinking of the 13 Broncos.
That team was unreal.
Yeah.
Their offense was just completely ridiculous. But they.
What about that Packers team that won the Super Bowl?
Packers team 2010, I believe it was.
Because I know they had Woodson on defense. Like, I thought their defense was one of the best in the NFL.
They were on this list. Let me check where they were.
Must have been low down.
Number 8 overall.
Oh, okay. So they were up there, too, because that was another
the
one.
team that got hurt. They were so beat up going into the playoffs, and then they found a way to eventually win the Super Bowl. The top Chiefs team, for anybody curious in our audience?
We weren't.
2019, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. That was the first one that they won against the 49ers. That was the year I was in Kansas City, Alex. I was covering that team. They were very, very, very good, and they were at number 9 on this list, just behind that Packers team that you just mentioned. So number 9 for the Chiefs, number 10 for the 2001 Rams.
That one should be close to top 5, if not 5.
I agree with you there.
Like that one was, I mean, I was 11 at the time. So, I mean, that was a team that was just as memorable as that Super Bowl one, but the offense I thought was just elite from top to bottom.
It was, but the defense had a few more question marks. I know you mentioned the ranking, but I think a lot of that plays into the narrative. The fact that we hadn't seen anything close to that production from March in 99, that colors
for sure.
Yeah, I think that the 01 Rams should be higher on this list. I do feel that way, and I think some of these Eagles teams were a little high. I think some of the Patriots teams are also a little higher than I would personally have them, but I think they got it about right with the Chiefs. This feels pretty close to where I would have them. The thing that's so amazing about the Chiefs is the longevity of their sustained success, more so than like the dominance of any one individual team overall. I thought the 22 Chiefs were probably the best, or 23 Chiefs were probably the best overall team. 22 Chiefs. But beyond that, they haven't really had a like overall dominant team so much the way that like the 07 Patriots were.
Just evolving styles. Yeah.
All right, he's Alex. That's T-Bone on BK. 3-1.
Not
so
T-Bone.
Close. He's Alex. That's Bradford.
You were just
I'm
talking
BK.
to him, too.
It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Sometimes you just go into muscle memory.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Grandson tomorrow. What's going to happen then? Huh?
God only knows.
That's me from 5 to 8 o'clock every evening with my kids by myself.
Coming
Muscle
up
memory.
next, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on 101 ESPN.
The MLB is on ESPN Saturday. Mets and Reds. Pregame at 2:30. First pitch at 3:10. The MLB plays on 101 ESPN. to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. You've got questions. BK and Ferrario may have the answers. Questions and answers presented by Vantage Credit Union. As a local financial partner, Vantage puts your needs first. Membership eligibility required.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line or at YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. This one comes from the 801. Guys, which sports insiders do you trust the most, and which sports insiders do you trust the least?
Okay.
Let's start out with the most.
I trust the least Jeremy Rutherford. No, just kidding. He'll be with us soon.
If we go NFL, Jay Glazer is the guy that I trust the most. If Jay Glazer says something, you can take it to the bank. It is guaranteed. He is going to have the correct information, and he will give you stuff that is not like purely news so much as like, hey, watch for this. If he says that, it's happening. So Jay Glazer is my number one source of, if this guy says it, that is the truth.
Yeah.
NBA used to be Woj, now it's Shams.
There's not a whole lot of competition in the NBA for those type of insiders.
Yeah. I mean, like Chris Haynes does it, but it's different.
Not to
and
the
I
Shams
certainly
level.
wouldn't have him in that category. Windhorst is a good insider. There's other people that do a really good job with it, like Mark Stein down in Dallas is really good, and like some of his breakdowns of the Luka stuff after the trade went down was fantastic, but it's just different. NHL wise,
Mine's either Friedman, Dreger, or Kevin Weeks.
yeah, I would
One
go
of those
Friedman
three.
or Drager. Those two would be my top.
The reason
two
I put
guys.
Weeks in there is kind of like Jay Glazer. He's not like an insider, but he has connections to where when he says something, you know it is going to happen.
No doubt. What do we miss? Baseball at Passon.
Yeah, passing.
Passon's the guy.
Yeah.
When he says something, you can pretty much take it to the bank. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Rosenthal's very, very, very good as well. Those are probably the top two for me.
Yeah.
I was putting together my insider list. On the least trustworthy insiders, man, that's an interesting one. Honestly, Schefter to some degree.
Really?
There have been just some stories in recent years where it's like, dude, this is very clearly you being a mouthpiece for the NFL.
I can see that.
NHL side of things, I like Frank Saravalli. I think he traffics in rumors a lot. Like this Kairu thing that he's doing is just weird. I don't understand it. Maybe it ends up being true. It's possible, I suppose. But
Saravalli and Kyprios are two for me that like I love the stuff that they put out, but I just don't buy into it when they put it out.
I think one thing that in media we can do, but I think it becomes difficult for readers, viewers, listeners sometimes, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm saying like this has become a difficult part of consuming media is what is a report versus what is speculation, right? And I think Kyprios sometimes does a lot of like speculation more, and it can appear to be a report. And I think the same thing is true for Saravalli. I think Morosi does this, where they're talking about things, kind of thinking through things on the fly. And because they are insiders, it feels as though it is a report, and instead it is more of like what we do sometimes, which is speculation. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From the 801, guys, what does MLB do better than other professional sports leagues when it comes to their All-Star Weekend attendance? It's the closest thing that resembles a game.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And it's just like hockey's just gotten to the point where 3-on-3, I just don't care. They have tournament 3-on-3 style. Nobody wants to watch. As exciting as 3-on-3 is in the regular season, to me, it does nothing for an all-star game. Same with NBA. I mean, NBA kind of resembles a game, but not really because none of the players are really invested in it. And NFL is just a week off for them. So, yeah, it's just you're actually watching a baseball game.
It's the easiest game to play that resembles a sport because there is the least amount of effort that is required for at most of the time, right? So on any given play, the only one that is required to have effort is the pitcher.
Yeah.
And because the pitchers are only in there for an inning, you can really let it eat and you look great. And the hitters are just out there basically trying to hit the ball as hard as they possibly can.
Right.
So you probably get one, maybe two at bats. It's just it's a sport that lends itself to this kind of an event, as opposed to hockey, which there's physicality involved in hockey.
Right.
Football, there's physicality involved. Basketball, if you don't try defensively, man, it shows immediately, and it has shown in the NBA's All-Star game. So I think a lot of it is just like the sport allows for this game to be more interesting than most other All-Star games. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. Guys, if you were Doug Armstrong, would you kick the tires on Mason McTavish in Anaheim? Alex, I'll leave this one up to you.
I mean, look, he's a young centerman. I think I would have been interested in it. It comes down to what are you going to pay for him? Like, you're going to have to give something off of your NHL roster again, and I don't know if I need a centerman now. Now you've signed Suter, you've got Bukestad, you've got Shen. As much as I would like the potential of a guy that's got second-line upside, I think I'd rather just stick with Dalibor or Dvorsky rather than pay the price of a Jake Neighbors or something like that for McTavish. So, although it's a sexy idea, 22 years old, 219 pounds, centerman, I don't think I'd want to go down that path rather than just stick with what I got right now.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service X line from the 801. Do you guys think Major League Baseball could or should do a Four Nations type of All-Star game? This is the thing that I was always concerned about, is like trying to do too much of that.
Yeah, everybody wants to do it.
No, I don't think they should. I think they should stick with the World Baseball Classic. That is their version of the Four Nations, and it works. Do not try to do it too often. Allow it to be a novelty, the way that the World Cup, right, for soccer is a novelty. It happens in a very specific time period. It goes away for a few years, and then it comes back, and it is big. It is a huge event because of that.
Yeah.
So, I do not think that they should do that. I think my personal prediction is that it will be a mistake for the NHL to do this as often as they are currently planning to do as well.
Yeah. I think what it's going to work now is you had that Four Nations this past season. This year you have the Olympics. So the Olympics are going to be so amplified that people are going to be like, wow, that was incredible. And then you're able to go back to a Four Nations tournament. The real question is going to be 3 years from now, what do you do at that time? Because you just had a Four Nations. You're a year away from another Olympics. Where do you go at that time frame?
He's Alex. That's Bradford on BK. Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to be joined by Jeremy Rutherford, Blues insider for The Athletic. But next, I want to do a little bit of a series with you, Alex. Over the next few days, we are going to do has this runway season been a success, a failure, or has it been incomplete for different aspects of the team? Today, I want to focus on the outfielders. For the players that were supposed to have this runway type of opportunity this year, would you deem it a success, a failure, or incomplete thus far? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN.
The Redbird Report, your front row seat to all things Cardinals. From the dugout to the diamond, BK and T-Bone go deep with the latest news, notes, and analysis. Watch the Redbird Report on YouTube or listen online at 101ESPN.com. KXOS, WXOS, HD1 East St. Louis, 101 ESPN is driven by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. This is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
We're going to do a series over the next few days. Has this season of Runway been a success, a failure, or has it been incomplete for specific players that were kind of at the heart of this season for the Cardinals? Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We'll talk to Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues insider for The Athletic and for 101 ESPN, here in a little more than 10 minutes on BK and Ferrario. All right, so I want to start today with the outfielders. Tomorrow we'll do the infielders. That'll include Ivan Herrera. And then on Thursday, we'll talk a little bit about the pitchers that had this season of Runway. So let's start with the outfielders, and let's start with Lars Nootbaar. He was one of the players prominently featured of, hey, we got to find out what we have in Noot, right? The first few years of his career, it's mostly been good production. The problem has been the injuries. Played 108, 117, 109 games. He can't get over that 120-game threshold. This season, it's been almost the opposite. For the most part, Lars Nootbaar has been healthy this season. However, the production has taken another step backwards. The slugging is down, the on-base percentage has dropped, and a lot of that is tied to the lack of batting average this season, Alex. And now, once again, he's dealing with an injury. That being said, the underlying stuff is still there, man. He hits the ball incredibly hard. He does not chase. He does not swing and miss. He walks at a really high clip. So he is still an analytics darling to some degree. He plays solid defense in left field, and he's still a pretty decent base runner. So he does a lot of things well. Just not seeing the production that you would have liked to have seen this year, despite mostly being on the field. So would you consider this Runway season for Lars Nootbaar a success, a failure, or incomplete thus far, Alex?
I'd put it as a failure. Because as much as those underlying numbers and an analytics darling he is, to me, that's not production. And the whole point of Runway was, cool, man, you haven't been able to stay healthy, but when you've been healthy, you've been a great player, stay healthy for us. You've stayed healthy, but you're not producing to the same length. And the whole point of the Runway was to find out, are you a piece that moving forward every single day you were viewed as that guy? And I think he's fallen out of the role of being the leadoff hitter because he's struggled the production-wise. He doesn't really have the pop to be one of those guys that you can rely on as a big-time moment. So to me, he has fallen into the complementary piece, which are good pieces to have, but I think you've got other players that could be the left field options for you, and I've had enough seasons to not look at this anymore and say, well, it could get better. You're going to be 28 going into next season. We've seen 5 seasons of this where it's either been unhealthy and productive or healthy and unproductive. To me, that's inconsistent, so I'd say that's a failure.
I'm with you. If he were to be in that leadoff spot consistently, if he had held on to that, I think that would be a huge feather in the cap. But the fact of the matter now, even though the analytics still shine very favorably on Lars Nootbaar, when you're talking about somebody who, in his career, guys, only once has he actually hit above 244 across the span of an entire season, and we mentioned the lack of pop. Well, how about the strikeouts actually going up? I think it's safe to say at this point, you're seeing somebody who has an OBP along the lines of the 340 max, and we haven't seen that growth despite him being healthy for the better part of the year. And it doesn't help either that he seems entrenched in a corner spot here for this organization.
To me, why I'd put the label on this one as a failure is I think Brendan Donovan can play that position and play it better next year for the team.
That's the thing. It feels aggressive to call it a failure because he's still a productive player.
Totally.
He's a helpful piece, and I think there's a lot of teams across Major League Baseball that'll be like, man, that's exactly what we're lacking. Some teams just need a really solid above-average player to put in left field and to kind of complete their lineup, to play bat him 7th. They're lacking the lefty bat. Need that on base percentage. He brings things to the table that are really valuable, just like Tommy Edman did, right? Tommy Edman did not have a spot on this roster any longer. There was no place to play him. But he can help the LA Dodgers. He's exactly what they were lacking. You know, maybe the Yankees are a team that could really use a guy like Lars Nootbaar. Maybe the Dodgers are a team that could really use Lars Nootbaar. There are contenders. He can be a missing piece for a contender. I truly do believe that. For the St. Louis Cardinals, I don't know that he any longer fits with what it is that they are lacking. And I think there are other guys, you mentioned one of them, Brendan Donovan, that brings some of the same things to the table. It's a hard profile to find, but once you have it in your lineup, I don't know that you need multiple of them. Mm-hmm. So, again, failure feels aggressive to me because he hasn't been a failure. He's been fine. So but relative to expectations, yeah, I think that's the way that I would have to side because he's certainly not been a success this season.
Well, and so that's kind of where I was going to go with this and a question to you because I'm kind of having a change of heart. Maybe it should be labeled a success because
to find out because you learned.
That's the whole point of the runway, right? The runway is to get answers on the players. We're going to get to them, but I think we all know where the failure comes in because you don't have answers. But Newbar, all three of us just agreed in the same precedent. I think we found a success for him.
Yeah, I think I pretty much at this point know there's not a whole lot more in there.
And if you're the Cardinals, that's a win.
That's a success. The runway season got what you needed out of it. He has not given you the answers that you were looking for. Ooh. So you can label that a success or a failure depending on how you feel about that. But I would say his results have been closer to the failure.
Yeah.
The need of finding out what he is, that's been a success thus far.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Next player up, Alec Burleson. He has been really good this season, Alex. He's batting .293 on the season. He's 25% above league average offensively. All the underlying stuff is still there. He doesn't strike out. He doesn't whiff. He's swinging at more pitches that he can do damage against this season, though, and that has shown up in not only the underlying numbers, but also the actual results. He has 17 doubles on the season. Last year, he had 20 in about double the sample size. So the doubles is really where you're starting to see the production come through in a significant way. I don't know that we need to spend a whole lot of time here. We'll talk about him more in the second half. It's been a success in finding out what he is. It's also been a success in the results that have followed.
Yeah, I was actually going to label him as an incomplete, though.
Oh, interesting.
Because as successful as it has been and what great bat he's been, and I feel like you've got answers, where did Alec Burleson fall off last year? Now. And so coming out of this All-Star break, I think I'm still waiting to find out because much like Lars Nootbaar, if I have multiple, and I also think it's an incomplete because I've only seen 2 full seasons of this with Alec Burleson. I think I still need answers on this because do you fall into the Nootbaar category of like, look, man, you're great in the first half, but the second half you disappear, and that's not a good thing for the Cardinals to have? Or do you take what you learned from last season where you ran out of gas at the end and say, I need to amplify it to the next level? So I think at the end of this season, I could have a success.
All right, next one up, we've got Victor Scott. Sorry, Bradford, we got to go a little quick just because we've got JR on the other side. No, you're fine. Victor Scott is the next one up. He has been fine. Good defensively, great defensively, I think you could argue. Great on the base paths. He has 24 stolen bases already on the season. He's got a real chance to steal 35, 40 bags this year. But offensively, it's been up and down.
Yeah.
Right now, he's batting .235. He's not hitting for any slug. That's no surprise. Nobody expected him to. And the underlying numbers are really bad. Like, there's nothing in his profile that would suggest this is going to get better. However, again, fantastic defender, fantastic base runner. Alex, has this been a success, a failure, or incomplete for Victor Scott thus far?
I call it a success. We all knew that this was the profile of Victor Scott. He offensively wasn't going to be anything to get excited about, but he's going to steal bases. He's going to give you elite defense. To me, he has answered every question that you asked about him as a center fielder at the major league level. So that, to me, is the center fielder for your team moving forward.
I'm saying it's a success as well because we're finding out, right?
Yeah.
The question was, is he ready for this level? The answer has been, without a doubt, in my opinion, yes. He is a major leaguer.
Yeah.
And now it becomes a question of how do you value this profile? What is the value of a stud defender in center field that adds immense value on the base paths, but has very little offensive upside? At least right now. Maybe he develops into more. I think there is a little bit more in the bat, potentially, especially when it comes to the average. But how do you value this profile? That's going to be the next question for the Cardinals.
And he's actually really good with hitters in scoring position. He's hitting .317 this season.
I love that you bring that up.
That's my favorite stat.
Jordan Walker is the next one. He is the final outfielder that we have to talk about. Has this season been a success, a failure, or incomplete when it comes to Jordan Walker and the runway experience? Alex, I'm curious your thoughts on this.
It's so hard to say what I'm going to say because I think the right answer should be incomplete because he's young and you're still trying to figure out. But to me, it's a failure. I was expecting steps this season, and although we saw it in a couple of week spurts, You didn't see any progress with the bat. And I know what Brant Brown told us when we had him on. Like, look, this is a process and it takes some time. He's 23, but I didn't see progression from last year to this year. Defensively, he did. Offensively, he didn't. And I know he wasn't optioned, but he's essentially optioned to Memphis going into that All-Star break. So to me,
Memphis, Springfield.
Yeah. So to me, I call it a failure.
Failure. This is the one I feel most confident in.
Yeah, that was the one I had too.
I don't know how you can look at it any other way. He's been a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
Huge disappointment. Offensively, it's been bad. Defensively, I would say it's taken a little bit of a step back from where it was a year ago. He's been fine, but a little bit of a step back from where it was a year ago. And there's just been almost no steps forward whatsoever when it comes to his process at the plate.
Yeah.
There have been a couple of weeks, like over the course of the full season, a couple of weeks in total where you're like, there's the Jordan Walker that I remember seeing in year one, and then it's just gone. And now you're dealing with the injury issues, so much so that he's down in Springfield, playing for the Springfield Cardinals, and he's been there now for 2 weeks.
And he's probably been great.
He's been terrible.
Oh, okay.
With no real belief that he's coming soon. He's batting 158 since going down to Springfield with a 395 slugging percentage. Oh. Yeah, it's been really bad. Underlying numbers, not good. Swings the bat hard, swings the bat fast, hits the ball hard. That's about it. It's the only thing you could say about Jordan Walker from a hitter's perspective right now. So it's been a failure thus far. Hopefully that changes in the second half of the season. I've got a poll out on all of these over on Twitter right now, twitter.com/BK Sports Talk. If you want to get your thoughts in, Newt, Burley, Scott, Walker, has this season been a success, a failure, or incomplete when it comes to what we have learned about them thus far in the runway season? You can answer those and get your thoughts in on Twitter at BK Sports Talk if you guys would like. Coming up next, we're going to talk to our guy, Jeremy Rutherford. He was able to talk with Justin Carbonneau, the Blues' first-round pick, who has decided to stick with juniors. We're going to talk to him about his interview with Carbonneau and what he makes of the Bowen Byram contract that was signed yesterday when JR joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
You can now watch 101 ESPN live on our Air Alliance team studio cams. Catch every show live on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com. 101 ESPN studio cams.
Presented by the Air Alliance team heating and cooling. Getting the job done quickly, correctly, 100% of the time.
Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
All right, let's go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by our friend, the Blues insider for The Athletic. He's Jeremy Rutherford joining us here on the show. JR, I thought we would get to mid-July and, frankly, you would have some time off and we wouldn't do these hits for a little while. And that's not because I don't enjoy our hits. I love talking with you every Tuesday. But typically around this time of the year, there's not a lot of hockey conversations to be had. And the Blues have not yet allowed for that to be the case.
Yes.
It's the new NFL. The NHL is copying off the NFL here. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You know, you had the draft, you had free agency, you had development camp, and now we got a little Justin Carbonell to talk about.
We do. He decided he's going to stick with his juniors team. He will not be going to the collegiate level this year, which does have a trickle-down effect for the Blues of, hey, you can go to training camp this year, and then we'll see what he looks like and whether he's potentially even ready for the NHL. Were you surprised at all when you heard that decision, and what did you make of it? What does it mean for him and his chances with the Blues, in your opinion?
Yeah, I spoke to him last week, and he had kind of made up his mind. He said he was about 85% sure. He just needed to talk to the two schools and kind of go through things. When I say schools, I mean, of course, Boston College, playing NCAA hockey next year, going back to his junior team and playing there at Armada. And, of course, he chose to go back to Armada. And, you know, just a little bit surprised. I mean, Boston College, a powerhouse, they're going to be good every year. The competition, you're playing against some of the best in the country. And he's kind of left his mark in his first 3 years with Armada, 46 goals last year. And, you know, I think some people will say, you put up those kind of numbers, you've learned how to play at that level. What more can you prove? It's time to take that next step. But I'm always a believer of, you know, do what is going to be best for you, not necessarily what's comfortable for you, but what you think will help develop your game. And haven't had a chance to talk to him yet since he made the announcement official. But I got to feel that he believes he's going to have some comfort going back there and continuing to improve his game. And as you mentioned, BK, now because he's playing junior hockey, these are the rules. He can come to Blues training camp and skate with the big boys.
How much of the decision do you think, and I know you haven't talked to him since the announcement, Chair, but I have to imagine that was a big part of it to where, look, I'm sure Jim Montgomery and Doug Armstrong talks to him at the development camp of talking about how great he looked and saying, like, look, you're going to have an opportunity to go impress these guys once again against NHL players.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And a lot of times you don't get that much of an opportunity. Like if he can get into a couple weeks worth of practices against the Blues, if he can get into one exhibition game. And let's keep in mind, there's a lot of people who are excited about the NHL cutting back from, let's say, 8 exhibition games down to 4 in the new collective bargaining agreement, which won't take effect until after this season. But some people are excited about that. Well, the one downside of that is for these young players who try to come in and make their mark. So perhaps the Blues will be able to get him into an exhibition game while he's here in St. Louis. But usually for those younger players, those draft picks, they only see a couple weeks of practice before they're sent back to the junior team, and I suppose that'll be the case with Carbonell.
We're talking to Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues insider for The Athletic here on 101 ESPN. What did he learn about where he's at based on his performance in development camp? Did he learn anything from the Blues or from just his experience there? When he talked with him, what did he say about it?
Yeah, first of all, and you guys have spoken to him before, just how pumped up he is when he talks. Like, I understand these kids get excited about being drafted and experiencing the NHL atmosphere for the first time. But even talking to him for a half hour last week on the phone, just everything that came out of his mouth, you could just feel the energy. And I asked him the question, what did you learn? Did you feel like you measured up well against your peers here? And he said, yes. It felt so great to get in there and, play my style of game and see that it worked out well on the ice against the first-round draft picks that the Blues have had in the past couple of years. Granted, not all the Blues' top prospects were there. This is kind of a level where they bring some of them, but not all of them. And so you didn't have a Stenberg, Dvorsky, those types of guys. But you still had some good players out there, and Carbonell did a good job. And listening to him, he's always confident. And that's the thing that struck me. And I asked him, where do you get that confidence? Like, where did it come from? And a couple things. He said that Quebec players, for whatever reason, they're always told that they can't make it. They can't do it. And maybe that's how they always feel. It's maybe not necessarily the outside perception, but you hear a lot of, well, he did it in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, so what can he do at a different level? And he said that's what he's always battled. And so to come out and show that confidence, he said that he has a skating coach, Yannick Tremblay, played 500 games in the NHL, and here's a guy who continues to tell him, you got to go into a place and say, this is my rink. And he goes, yeah, it's not your rink, is it? But you've got to go into every single opportunity saying, this is my place and this is where I'm going to shine. Another thing about him, guys, that I picked up was he listens to a lot of podcasts, including in the past, the Mamba mentality and a lot of stuff from Kobe Bryant. He listens to a lot of that stuff, that positive energy, and he wants to bring that to the ice every day.
Oh, so did he mention that he loves the Last Minute Blues podcast?
I genuinely thought that is where JR was going. Is that like his first exposure to the St. Louis Blues was actually the Last Minute Blues podcast?
He loves Donnie Fandango.
He loves Donnie's energy. We love Justin's energy, and he loves Donnie's energy.
Yeah, well, that was the thing for us, JR, when we were talking with him. I mean, you could tell how confident he was, but then he's like, I play a lot like a running back. And we're like, whoa. It's like, but you see him on the ice, he plays like that. I'm sure you saw the viral video that the Blues put out. Like, he's not just a goal scorer. He's a guy that will throw his body around. And everything that I've read or everything that I've seen says, like, they can't believe that he got to number 19. I mean, we're talking about a potential another steal by the Blues late in a first-round draft.
Yeah, Alex, and I think I go back to what Doug Armstrong said pre-draft to the media. We asked him about stocking the system in terms of, do you go for a center, do you go for a defenseman? And he said, wingers are sometimes in abundance. So he said that you don't want to go a slot down and take a lesser player just to fill out a position of need, maybe in the system. And I think with Carbonell, the selection of a winger at number 19, that shows you that they believe that he's a player who is a notch above a lot of those players that weren't taken at 19, including the centers and the defensemen. So what we saw in development camp, what we saw with the highlight reels that the Blues produced, you're right. Like bull in a china shop is a phrase that people have used with Carbonell. And I just think that, it's going to be different when you come to camp and you're battling against men. But I feel in listening to him, he said, listen, I don't care if you're 6'8", I'm going to come in and play hard. So at the very least, he's got that right attitude.
All right, Jeremy Rutherford, our guest here on 101 ESPN for just another few minutes. JR, earlier today, we got into it on the show about Bowen Byram, and he signed the contract yesterday with the Buffalo Sabres. 2-year deal, about $6+ million per season, and that'll take him up until free agency. You've heard all of the speculation over the last few weeks. You've talked about it both on our show and then certainly wrote about it over at The Athletic as well. What did this contract decision, him signing that 2-year deal, what did that do for the potential of a Bowen Byram trade, whether that be more or less likely now?
I think that getting a contract with Buffalo shows what Kevin Adams has said, is that Bowen Byram has no problem going back to Buffalo. And I think getting the bridge deal, more or less, 2 years at $6.5 million per, it's going to walk him into free agency. But he was going to have that right potentially anyway because of Buffalo taking him to club-elected salary arbitration. He was going to pick the term, and it could have been 2 years. So I don't think the term changes anything. In terms of trade speculation, I think it's the same old, same old. Like if there's an offer out there that is going to make Buffalo open its eyes, then potentially there could be a trade. That hasn't happened to this point. And you hear out of Buffalo that Kevin Adams has not been wowed by the trade offers. And, sometimes that happens. It's July. Maybe things change in August. But I'll say this. You look at that top 6 for Buffalo, and they've got Bowen Byram penciled in the top pair with Rasmus Dahlin, who he's had a ton of success with in the past. I realize Dahlin has generated a lot of that, and Bowen Byram by himself has not. So this is going to be his chance to prove it, and I'm sure he's fine to do that in Buffalo. So I just can't see the Buffalo Sabres moving Bowen Byram and creating a hole on that left side in their top pair unless the price is right for them, and so far it hasn't been from any of these teams that have shown interest.
JR, you have any thoughts on the nominees for the Best Drama Series this year? There are 8 of them. Andor, The Diplomat, The Last of Us, Paradise, The Pit, Severance, Slow Horses, and The White Lotus. Do you have a favorite there?
I do not. I tell you this. I've said this for years, that I'm a few years ahead of you guys with the kids, and these kids' sports schedules are nonstop. And so I don't know how you guys have the time with the little ones to watch these shows, but I will say this. Last night we did sit down and watch the Home Run Derby, and I was quite surprised. I think you guys talked about the Derby earlier. my son, who sometimes you think that, hey, is baseball fading in terms of watching the MLB? Is there interest from the 12-year-olds? He knew every guy, knew every team that he played for, knew how many home runs each guy had who stepped to the plate and, didn't turn it off to the very end. So I think you guys asked the question earlier, is the home run derby a success? And at least in our household, it was.
That's awesome.
And that's the demographic MLB's going for. 12, 100%. 13, 14-year-olds, not 35-year-olds.
Yeah, they don't care about Alex Ferrario. They care immensely about Jeremy Rutherford's son. Yeah. So they won last night.
Yeah, and because guess who's buying the jerseys and the hats? So that's what 100%. They care about.
Your wife, that's who's buying it.
And because your son is going to be watching for the next, 30, 40 years, they hope. And he is the one that they're going to have to cater to in terms of how they consume the products as well. Because I would imagine, JR, I haven't been with your son as he's watching the games or whatever, but he probably consumes it differently than me and Alex do or than you do 5, 10, 15 years ago or even today.
Is he a fan of the big dumper?
Oh, yeah. And he definitely still has the dream, guys, because last night as he's watching it, he was saying, Dad, are you going to pitch to me at the home run derby like this guy?
There you go.
Awesome.
I love
and
that.
JR's like, no, I'm going to pay for somebody to do that for you. I'm going to be watching.
JR, watch the pit. It's worth your time. Appreciate the time as always.
Doesn't have time for that.
Must be nice you guys have all that free time.
No, you guys is not proper. It's just BK.
We watched Big Brother last night. It was a great episode.
Can't even tell you the last time I've watched a series from start to finish. One episode, and then my wife tried to get me to watch Stranger Things. I'm like 10 years late on this. Yeah. I watched an episode, and I'm like, this is boring. I'm turning it off.
Also go to sleep at 7:30.
Yeah,
so.
I think the last series I watched was A-Team. How long ago was
that?
When it was actually Mr. T.
40 years. It's been a minute. JR, appreciate the time, man.
All right, see you guys.
All right, take it easy. That's Jeremy Rutherford joining us here on BK and Ferrario. You go to sleep at what time on a typical basis? Like, what's your it's Monday through Thursday, Sunday through Thursday, let's say.
Non-hockey season, probably about, I'm in bed watching television, ready to fall asleep at about 9.
Really?
Yeah. Hockey season, I don't go to bed till midnight.
You got kids.
It's honestly okay not going to bed at nearly that time, but settling down. Alex, I feel you there. I respect that. 9-ish if we can manage.
Yeah. The hope is I can fall asleep by like 9:30. The real fall asleep is like 10.
Typically like at 12:30-ish, roughly. So that's when we watch our TV, right? Like Luca goes down typically around 9. That's when I am finally able to get some work done. Yeah. So we'll do work. Me and my wife both do work, and then we'll throw something on television, and that's.
I do my work at 5 a.m. Like, so I get up earlier because the only time for like peace and quiet in my house
just flip it.
Is 5 to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
It's the only time because you try and spend time with your wife who you don't see until dinner time. Sure. So you get like an hour and a half, 2 hours with her before we both are conked out. And then it's like you just wake up and you get your stuff done.
It was a good year for TV. Andor was very good. If you have not seen Andor yet, it's fantastic.
You listed off all of those. I think I heard of 2 of them, and I haven't seen any of them.
I was surprised by how much I enjoyed The Diplomat. I went into it thinking like, okay, this is going to be, what is it, the Secret Agent one? The Night Agent?
Oh,
I
Night Agent.
thought it was going to be like Night Agent 2.0. I think it's a better version of that. I have not seen Last of Us, can't speak to that. Paradise, you got me into Paradise.
Paradise was good.
I liked it. The concept was really compelling. And then as the season came along, it kind of felt like Severance for me, where it was like, okay, we're getting some answers to ththese questions, and I'm not sure how much I care about some of the questions that are being asked now.
No interest in Paradise after this season. This season was like, this is it. Now I don't care.
It gets tough. And Severance this year I did not think was as good as it has been in previous years. I thought some of the scenes were really cool. The marching band scene, if you've watched the show, was amazing. But the actual show itself, the plot, I kind of got lost. The Pit was the best show, one of the best shows. That and Adolescence, those were the 2 best shows that I saw this year.
Adolescence was the one that, we watched.
I haven't seen Slow Horses. Yeah. I did not like this season of The White Lotus as much. I thought it was just okay. It didn't do much for me.
Splashback Deuce asked if I wake up and change the sheets. No, that's every 3rd day. We wake up and we change the sheets.
Do you wash in the morning?
No, in the evening. You take them off at night and you put them in the wash. And then
how many... Welcome to BK and Ferrario. It's the All-Star break.
Yeah. This is like COVID, it's only for 4 days.
I'm just trying to understand this thing with the sheets. How many pairs of sheets do you have?
We got about 5 of them.
Really?
Yeah, we got about 5.
So you're just like constantly swapping
We've also been married for almost 10 years, so we've accumulated
when we get
sheets.
New sheets, we just get rid of the old.
Are you crazy?
No, man. We just...
No. We keep all the sheets.
Get rid of that stuff. We also have a small house, so we don't have a ton
but then we use the sheets if we, like the older ones we keep and we'll use for like if we're like travel or moving stuff around, you put it in the trunk or whatever. But yeah, we got 5 sheets that we rotate through, and you get probably 2 of them washed every week, and then you got 2 new ones. Yeah. It's not that hard to understand.
636. BK, why are you digging into your inner Jackson asking about TV awards? Because I really like TV shows.
What, are you assuming that Jackson doesn't?
No, they're saying Jackson also really loves like TV, movies. Jackson, I listen to TMA, Alex.
Do you?
He's a big fan of movies, television, and music. He's very well versed. He's certainly more well versed than I am on the pop culture side of things. But I really like shows. It's something like I watch more TV shows than I do movies.
Oh, see, I go movies, TV, then music. I am so out on music. Good luck trying to get me into one of those conversations.
I have always enjoyed this format, like podcasts, sports radio, sports television, just like consuming others talking about sports. I like that. It's fun for me to listen to. So I got into that instead of music at an early age. I like music. I enjoy music. I especially like seeing live music, going out to see somebody perform. But I'm not.
I even think on TV shows, I do more documentaries than I do like shows. I think that's where I go with this one. Also, 636 says I change my sheets once a month. You are filthy. Whoever you are, filthy.
Somebody says, why does it increasingly seem as though BK has no life outside of his quote-unquote sports life? Wash your sheets, BK. Take a shower, AM and PM.
You take 2 showers a day?
1 shower typically.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a waste of water. Come on, man.
1 shower a day. Sometimes twice though. Like yesterday, I did 2. I went on a run. Don't know if you guys are familiar. It's very hot outside. No. So I took a shower afterwards, and then we did some stuff outside during the day after I had done that. So I took a shower before I went to bed last night. Thanks for asking.
I didn't. I guess I did.
This
went off of the rails quick.
If we want to get into the inner workings of BK's mind real quick, this show is a big part of my life. So, I have a life outside of this. It is, generally speaking, my son. Most of my time is either something with this show or hanging out with my son. And then me and my wife do some stuff together as well. So, those are kind of my 3 separate categories.
And then add in 2 more kids, and then you're welcoming and a nude puppy, and that's my life right now. And the Blues.
All right, coming up next, Bet It or Forget It. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN has your chance to meet Adam Wainwright at this year's Big League Bash at the Factory July 27th. Our winner will receive 2 tickets to the Big League Bash, featuring Adam Wainwright in concert, along with appearances from Cardinals players and Fred Bird, a silent auction, and more. All to support Big League Impact. Plus, our winner and guest will receive 2 passes to meet Waino prior to the show. Tickets to the Big League Bash, supported by Community America Credit Union, are on sale now. Find all the details and that chance to win free Big League Bash tickets and meet and greet passes to meet Adam Wainwright right now at 101ESPN.com and on your 101 mobile app. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
All-Stars take center stage at Truist Park. Good afternoon. It's Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is powered by Saliga Heating and Cooling. After Cal Raleigh smashed his way to a home run derby title last night, Atlanta now prepares for Midsummer Classic number 95. Our coverage beginning immediately following the Fast Lane. National League manager Dave Roberts rolls with Paul Skeens initially, while Detroit ace Tarek Skubal represents that junior circuit. MLB draft rounds 4 through 20. St. Louis adds 3 shortstops plus 10 more arms. Those hurlers join 5th overall selection Liam Doyle, about whom Tony Vitello raved yesterday.
Liam is a lovable dude. If you're a coach, a teammate, a trainer in the facility, he's a blast. And I also think he's a kid who, he is in that elite talent category of being a first rounder, but he's got a lot of room for growth, a lot of room to develop in several different areas.
This Sports Center update was presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Vegas sets them up, and we're here to make the call. It's BK and Ferrario's Bet It or Forget It on 101 ESPN.
Presented by Circus Sports Illinois. Sports betting the way it should be.
I gotta be honest, I miss that when you're out.
Yeah, nobody does that, huh?
I miss that when you're out. It doesn't feel the same.
Bradford, I would have assumed you'd pick up the slack for me when I'm gone.
I mean, I'd go for it, but one benchmark at a time. I've so missed, by the way, seriously, believe it or not. I know that we've had other obligations. I get it, but
I can't believe you didn't do that for the people.
I mean, what, you thought Stalter was going to do it? It was going to be me,
you should have did it with Jamie. Jamie absolutely would have done that.
Jamie would have done it. We had a lot of other stuff going on.
Or you and Bradford just take it as a duo.
399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. But before we start that, I do want to tell you tomorrow we will be joined in studio starting at 12:15, going all the way up until 12:45 by Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues. Many of you have asked us questions that, frankly, I don't have the answers for you on about the broadcast situation with the St. Louis Blues and where things are going, what the plan is, all of that. Kerbs is going to join us in studio tomorrow, and he said he's willing to talk about what's going on, where they're at, what the plan is for them. So I would recommend tuning in tomorrow. Again, 12:15 to 12:45. Kerber will be in studio for 2 segments. Talk about the Blues, of course, but also he'll give you some insight on the broadcast side.
And the season schedule is going to be released tomorrow, I believe, at noon. So he's going to be in here at the time that it's released, so we can talk about that with him as well.
All right, let's get into it. Bet it or forget it. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. Alex, bet it or forget it. The Cardinals' next position player that is 25 or younger right now to make it to the All-Star game is Ivan Herrera. Their next position player that is currently 25 or younger to make it to an All-Star game is Ivan Herrera. Other nominees for this could be like J.J. Weatherholt, Mason Wynn. Maybe you think Liam Doyle is going to make an All-Star game, but bet it or forget it, it's Ivan Herrera.
I'm going to forget it. I don't know how Herrera gets in because he's going to be a DH. He's not going to be a catcher. Not going to be a first baseman unless they make moves.
I don't know if you saw this. He's taking fly balls in left field now.
He's going to be a DH option and the only DH option. I think there's too many guys that fall into that DH. Like, your bat has to be MVP level to get in with that one. So I'll say forget it because I can see a Weatherholt doing it. I can see a Mason Wynn doing it. I'm gonna say forget it.
I'm not sure if the position distinction really matters, to be honest with you. I am on board.
Doesn't.
I am on board with Herrera being that guy. All right, Ohtani gets a start there. So what? Because the bat plays so exceedingly well. I am not sold on him necessarily being in the outfield, necessarily being in any other position. I understand the need to actually get those reps. But as far as the guy whose trajectory appears to be the fastest, absolutely Herrera.
I'm going to say forget get it because of the competition at that
So
spot.
you don't think the corner outfield is in his future?
I mean, I think he's probably going to be on the ballot as a designated hitter. And in the National League, that means you're going up against Shohei Ohtani every year.
So you're never
That's
making
the
it.
starting point. And you have one other position that you could potentially have. So it's you versus the rest of the field for one spot every single season. It's just such a high bar to clear. So I'll say forget it, not because I dislike Ivan Herrera, but I think the path for Mason Wynn, the path for J.J. Weatherholtz, the path for Liam Doyle, etc., is easier. I think it'll be somebody other. I would take the field over Ivan Herrera.
If they were to trade Contreras and make Herrera the first baseman, I could say
Absolutely.
bet it, because I think that would be an easy
or
one
if he
for
catches
him.
on in left field, maybe then he could make it.
Maybe center field. Maybe he's got the legs. Those hammies are a little bit tighter now, so he's ready to go with this one.
He's stealing multiple bags in a game.
Guys, bet it or forget it, we're going to see at least 2 more hockey trades before the start of the season.
By the Blues?
Nope, by the NHL.
Sure, bet it. No downside.
Nick
I'll bet
Kiprios, by the way, has another trade board out there, which he and Frank Saravalli, man, they love the idea of the Kyrie. We wanted it to die. They just kept throwing gasoline on that one.
God bless him.
Bet it. It's July 15th. Absolutely. Tons of time left. Let's do it.
I'm forgetting this one. I think they keep saying that this is going to be a really active trade market still. I think a lot of these teams that have the players that are going to get traded, they're not going anywhere. Like, you're not seeing Robertson getting traded. You're not going to see Carlson get traded or any of these Pittsburgh Penguins players. I say forget it. I don't even think we see one.
Bradford?
All right, guys, the MLB draft obviously wrapped up yesterday. We've covered Cardinals picks galore, but in the 17th round, the Dodgers made a pretty interesting selection. Yes, going with Sam Horn. That's Sam Horn, who's jockeying, we think, with Bo Pribula for MU's #1 quarterback job. Bet it or forget it, though. Sam Horn has taken his last snap in Como.
So I looked this up yesterday. Players selected roughly around that range. It's somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 typically for their bonus. The Dodgers apparently went a little under slot with some of their earlier draft picks, so they could technically throw a little bit more at Sam Horn if they wanted to. That's just the context of like what's going into the contract decision here. Man, at first I was like, okay, well, Sam Horn, congratulations, you're going to continue playing football this year. And then I thought about it a little bit more. I don't know. And if I'm the Dodgers, like, you sure as hell, if you sign this contract, you are not playing football in the fall. That's for damn sure. I'm not giving you $200,000 for you to continue playing that kind of a sport. So I think he plays football this fall. I have much less confidence in that today than I did yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Much less confidence.
I guess you can swing some sort of an arrangement if the organization is so willing to maybe obviously talk about competing, sitting out in a sense, and then entering, I guess, the system the following spring. It becomes a much more cloudy now. I'm with you, too.
Yeah, I'm going to say forget this one. I think he's going to take a snap in Como, because I think he's got a shot at being a starting quarterback there, because I just don't know with Pribula.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We'll tell you if we're betting it or forgetting it on a 101 ESPN Junk Drawer next. Jeff Marek, 2-part interview coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Bet It or Forget It. Alex's comes from the 801. Biddington will make the Vezina finalist list in this next season.
Bet it.
Wow.
I always think he's considered a top goaltender. The starts are going to be the part that's going to be hard, because I just don't know. He's not going to get north of 50 starts because they like to split them up. But I think with the defense continuing its improvement and having more defensive structure in their lines and having a full season of Jim Montgomery, I don't think the conversation of him not being a regular season goaltender is going to carry over this season. I think he's going to be one of the best in the Western Conference this year.
Forget it for me.
Yeah,
of course.
The number of starts, I'm only forgetting it for that reason, because we're not going to see anything remotely approaching that 60-ish range from a couple of seasons ago. Hofer's numbers continue to increase in that regard. That's why I have to forget it.
All right, from Doug's Bunyan, Bet It or Forget It, Doyle makes it to the big leagues by 2026. At some point next year, Liam Doyle, the Cardinals' number 5 overall selection, will play in the big leagues. I'll bet that.
You think so?
By the end of next season, yeah.
I'll forget it. I think you want to be cautious with somebody like this, and I understand college level, but
that doesn't mean I think he'll play the entirety of next year.
Yeah, no, he'll get up there.
But at some point next year, probably even at a minimum by September when you get the call-ups. I think he'll be up.
I'll say forget it. I'll say it's the following year. I'll say 2027.
Same. I want to bet on it, absolutely, but I'm going to forget it because I think that whether you're talking about a Tekoa Roby, even a Quinn Matthews, other guys will ascend. Maybe call it too much optimism, but it's okay to wait for just a bit longer.
Bet it or forget it. Donnie gets a hit tonight. I'll bet it. What the? Let's see it.
I think
he's only going to get one or two at bat.
He's going to get one at bat, and I don't think he gets a hit, so I'll say forget it.
American League hurlers, oh, why not? Let's have some fun. Go National League. Take one for once.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for bet it or forget it. Guys, bet it or forget it. Last one here. Kyrou and Holloway will both score at least 30 goals this season.
Bet it. Yep, I think that's going to be... I don't think those two are going to play on the same line together all season. I think you'll see Holloway get some reps on that top line with Robert Thomas when Snuggerud goes through it. I think you might see Holloway and Kyrou get some reps with Robert Thomas, but I'll bet this one. I think those two guys, and I think Robert Thomas puts up 30 if he stays healthy. I think he would have put up 30 if he would have stayed healthy this year. So I'll say bet it for Kyrou and Holloway.
I'm going to forget it. Kyrou actually surpasses 40 for the first time, goes in the low 40s. Holloway narrowly misses out, 27-28 range. Who cares, because he's going to surpass 70, 75 points.
I'll bet it as well. What the hell? Why not? I think it's going to be a really big year for Dylan Holloway. Coming up next, let's dive into the junk drawer here on BK and Ferrario.
It's Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Rangers and Tigers. Pregame at 5. First pitch at 6:10. The MLB plays on 101 ESPN. back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer with BK and Ferrario.
Alex, a couple from the United States made history at a, quote, wife-carrying world championships event, end quote.
Okay, I'm interested.
All right. In 2025, there was a new competition. This has been taking place 28 consecutive years since its inception. This takes place over in Europe. And every year, people come together for this huge event. It's a 250-meter obstacle race. So you're talking about like a little less than a quarter of a mile. Now, basically one lap around the track. It's called like 3/4 of a lap is how far this obstacle course is. And you are going through two portions of this that are on land, another portion of this that's 1 meter deep. So you're talking about like up to your knees, up to your waist, something like that in terms of being in water. And you're carrying your wife through all of this.
And what are some of the other obstacles?
So it's on the track for a portion of it, and then you go into the water.
Oh, okay. So there's not like you have to like go upstairs or something like that?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of, at least.
Okay.
It's a small, short story, so I can't speak to all of the obstacles that are involved with this, but not that I have seen. It appears that they are actually going over a log at a certain point in time. That took place in 2022.
Oh, so it's like a legit obstacle course.
Yeah.
And then what? It's best time, I would assume, or whoever
Correct.
competes.
So they broke the record for the shortest time, the quickest time, with 1 minute and 1 second. Now, here are the rules, Alex. The wife must be at least 17 years old. You do not actually have to be married. It's anybody that is, willing to go.
Well,
yes,
it's
yes,
a carrier wife competition.
The wife must wear a helmet. The carrier is permitted to wear some kind of a belt. Having fun is, quote unquote, mandatory.
That's what they said at camp when you were a 13-year-old kid.
The only requirement for the wife is that it's somebody that is willing to be carried. Here's my question to you as a follow-up.
I don't care about the story anymore. It's a stupid story.
If we did this on 101 ESPN as shows, so you and I did this, sorry, T-Bone, one of us would carry the other. The Fast Lane did it. They've got 4 guys. So it's like Stalter with Jamie and Marshy with Carrie, and then the TMA guys do it as well. You got Tim. I would imagine Tim is on the back of Jackson in this scenario.
I was going to say Tim is like
and then
Yoda.
My guess is you'd probably see Martin carrying Doug.
Ooh.
How do you feel like those teams would stack up head to head?
Fastlane's winning no matter what.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I'm guessing Carrie would probably be carrying Marshy in this scenario.
Carrie carries Marsh.
Who do you think would be carrying the other between Jamie and Stalter?
I think they'd rotate. I think Jamie
only get one.
Oh, Jamie carrying Stalter then.
You think?
Yeah, I think Jamie could carry Stalter. I think Stalter couldn't carry Jamie. I just think unless you go the smart route of Carrie carries Jamie and Marsh is carried by Stalter. Then you could just get great times on both. Like muscle carrying muscle. Okay. Not saying Stalter's not muscle, but you got muscle with Marshy.
No, you did say that, though.
Yeah.
You did say that,
okay.
Though. You didn't mean to, maybe, but it slipped, and you did say that.
NFL caliber muscle versus Anthony Stalter caliber muscle, because he's yoked compared to all of us.
Who do you think would carry the other on us?
I think you'd...
I feel like I'm carrying you over my shoulder.
How's your upper body strength?
Decent.
Your leg strength is better than mine.
That's my thing. I think with
my
the
legs
running
aren't great.
Background, I think I've got this.
I think my upper body strength is better, but I think your
first
leg...
Of all, not cool. Second of all, fair.
It's close enough.
Somebody said CD has a bad knee, though, right? That is a good point. Yeah. Maybe it's Jamie that's carrying Carrie.
Doesn't Jamie have a bad knee too, I thought?
Jamie has died on a table, so I think he's got a bad few different things going on because of that.
But Jamie still skates, so I mean, those ankles are strong. So yeah, maybe you are going that direction with that one. All I can say is TMA would be the last out of all of us.
I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah, because there's no way
I think
they
the
would be able to
Fastlane has the
us.
top 2. I think we're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, we're third.
Somebody said T-Bone's eating hot dogs on the sidelines. That's correct.
No, T-Bone's puking on the sidelines.
Probably smoking a cigar.
And puking.
And then I think you see... I think actually the last place team would probably be Jackson with Tim.
No, I think it would be Doug and Martin.
You think so?
Yeah, I think Jackson could carry Tim.
Jackson's actually like sneaky athletic,
and Tim's tinier, so you got more ability to run. Like I think Jackson is outrunning Martin, carrying Tim versus Doug.
Somebody on the text line said, so this is what we talk about on a dead sports day? Sure is. And from tune in tomorrow from iRock over on the YouTube chat, until BK dislocates his hip. That is also entirely possible. I'm trying to use the Pilates to help me out with the hips. We'll see if it ends up working out.
Yeah, my hips are strong.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everything here's where it gets weak. Knees down. That's where it gets weak.
That's problematic for something like this.
Well,
though.
especially this. If I'm going through water a meter deep, I'm drowning you. Somebody's going to flip you.
Fast Lane You Phil said the radio wars just intensified. That's right. The wife races will do that for you. I do think this is something we should actually do. I
think if we did individuals carrying their wives, who would win?
Ooh,
that's where I thought you were going.
That's a really good one.
Because you and I have not saying others don't, but like my wife is tiny.
Yeah, Kara's 5'2", 5'3".
Like Katie's like 5'11" and like 110 pounds. Like that shouldn't be easy for us. You know? So that's where I thought you were going with it. I think you and I would come first and second there.
Maybe. I would say I probably will lose to the professional athletes.
True, but maybe it's the one area of strength we have.
He's Alex. That's Bradford. I'm BK. Coming up next for the 1 o'clock hour, at least the first half of it, we're going to be talking to Jeff Marek. We have a 2-part conversation with him. We got into a lot of different things. How he would recap the Blues offseason thus far, and what's he think is going to happen with Bowen Byram. How's he feel about the Blues defensive core? We'll get into a bunch. Jeff Marek, one of the best NHL analysts out there. He's going to join us for the next 30 minutes here on BK and Ferrario.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis. 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return. opinion on the Air Comfort Service heating, cooling, and insulation text line at 314-399-9646 on 101 ESPN. This is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Welcome back into BK and Ferrario alongside Brandon Kiley. I am Alex Ferrario, and it is time to head to our guest line and welcome in one of our favorites here on BK and Ferrario. It's like a regular where we get the chance to catch up with Jeff Marek. He is the host of The Sheet over on the Daily Faceoff. It's Monday through Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock St. Louis time. You can follow him over on social media at Jeff Marek. Jeff, always great to catch up with you, my friend. Happy offseason to you.
What a better time to talk hockey. What better a time to talk hockey than July 15th?
I'd say this is interrupting your vacation, Jeff, but we know how this works. It's not interrupting your vacation. This is like this is the hot part of the season.
Also, Jeff, it's St. Louis, and Doug Armstrong gets his job done right around this time of the year, typically. I think this was roughly the offer sheet time last year.
Yeah, I think I think that, and boy, wasn't that a lot of fun too? Holy smokes! And you wonder if there's going to be more this year as everyone plays off what Army did last year. Normally, it's like middle of August where we start to see offer sheet drama. To be honest with you, I've always wondered why teams don't leave it even later. Because if you want to really sting a team that's up against the salary cap, like leave it to like September until their cap has pretty much all been made, and they really have to force themselves into a decision. Although I guess most teams want to have their cap situation put to bed by the time August rolls around. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if this is a trend with offer sheets. One final point on them. Considering how much the salary cap is going to go up in the next couple of years, I really do wonder if this might be the last season we see significant offer sheets in the NHL, because all teams are going to have the cap space to match. Anyhow.
One thing that surprised me a bit, Jeff, because we had seen so much about, hey, cap going up, there's going to be some real sticker shock to some of the prices that are associated with free agents. And then we saw in St. Louis a guy that they were tied to, and Mikael Granlund signed for 3 years, $21 million. I was like, oh, boy, well, Blues are not going to be able to get their center this offseason. And then they get Pius Suter on a 2-year deal worth like $8 million in total. No trade protection in it. It just seemed entirely too affordable. Like, I didn't understand how nobody else in the NHL beat this contract. What was your perspective on the Blues adding Suter as a middle six center for them this offseason at that price?
For your fans that may not be familiar with him, most recently playing with, of course, the Vancouver Canucks, you're going to love him. But his game is not a flashy game. Like, there's nothing that Pius Suter does that's going to blow you out of the water. He's just an all-around really good two-way hockey player who can play up and down your lineup. You know, I'll be really interested to see whether they play him in the second line center spot, or Braden Shen keeps that spot. But Blues fans are going to really, I don't know. It's not like he's an acquired taste that you really have to love, like a good defensive two-way center to appreciate Pius Suter. But your fans are going to love him because he's one of those guys that when Jim Montgomery taps him on the shoulder, he has no questions about what's going to happen when he hits the ice. There's going to be no surprises. He's going to play a really smart, safe, steady game, shift in and shift out. It's a real smart signing, and I'm with you. I kind of thought the bidding was going to go a little bit bonkers for someone like Pius Suter because he's coming off a really good year at the Vancouver Canucks. I know he's not going to fill the net, but if you're going to win, if you're going to do anything, make the playoffs, win rounds, you need players like this, as we've just seen with the Florida Panthers. And I'm kind of surprised that there weren't more teams that were bidding for him or trying to bid him up. But on the St. Louis Blues, they got their guy, and this is someone that Blues fans are going to, whether they realize it or not, this is someone that's going to really impact the St. Louis Blues team.
We're talking with Jeff Marek, host of the Sheet over on Daily Faceoff here on BK and Ferrario. And Jeff, when you saw the offseason moves like Suter and then Bukestad, it's like, okay, the Blues got their job done. They did their task. They upgraded the center position, which is what they really needed to do. But then, of course, the first move before all of these was Doug Armstrong trading Zach Bolduc to Montreal for Logan Mailloux, the defenseman. And, man, it has been down the middle, Jeff, of one side of the group looking at this trade saying, what the hell are the Blues doing? The other side of it going, what a steal for the Blues, because, yes, Bolduc is a great player, but Logan Mailloux has massive upside in terms of top pair defensemen.
Big right-hand shot defenseman that can move his feet and can fire the puck from the point. This is a situation where both teams addressed a very specific need. The St. Louis Blues, as you guys and all your listeners well know, are loaded with wingers. The most recent that just got drafted from Blainville Boisbriand of the QMJHL that everybody's in love with. And many people think he's going to make the team, to which I say, let's pump the brakes here a little bit. But listen, St. Louis is loaded on the wings, so they're dealing from a position of strength there. The Montreal Canadiens are loaded with blue liners, so that became an area of strength for Kent Hughes here. You know, Mailloux's name sort of popped up, I guess, in the second half of the season. Now, I didn't watch AHL Laval play a whole ton this year, but the times that I did were the series against the Rochester Americans. And Laval was one of the best teams in the American League this year. And Mailloux had another really good season for them. The only one thing that sort of gives me cause for pause, this is probably just a young thing, the Rochester Americans sort of drove him to distraction in a lot of games. And it was pretty obvious that they were just out there every shift to try to get under the skin of the young defender, and were able to do so. I think it's just an age thing more than anything else. Loaded with potential, right shot defenseman, so all the agents say, oh, he shoots right, you have to add 10% to the contract. And he's someone that's going to be a fixture on the St. Louis Blues blue line probably for 10 years when he arrives. Position of strength versus position of strength. This one made a whole ton of sense. Now, having said that, I love Zach Bolduc. That's one of my favorite players. Was one of my favorite players to watch on the St. Louis Blues right after Robert Thomas. So that is a lot to give, and I think he's going to do exceptionally well in Montreal. But you know, Blues fans have someone that has a really high upside, and what we're starting to see now too is a little bit of a movement towards teams building their defense not just on foot speed, but more they're looking for size, people that have a big shot from the point, not necessarily to score, but more just to create rebounds. And this is sort of a wink at that, I think, from the St. Louis Blues.
Jeff, the Blues were connected to Noah Dobson before the trade for Mailloux took place. Would you have preferred the Noah Dobson route over Logan Mailloux, or do you think Mailloux fits more into what the Blues are trying to do?
I love Noah Dobson. And the thing about Noah Dobson is, like I always say, like at a certain point, teams get out of the green banana business. We don't care about prospects. We just want players. Like Noah Dobson is a player. We still don't know what Logan Mailloux is going to turn into. We think he's going to turn into, best case scenario, first pairing right shot D for the St. Louis Blues. We just don't know. But make no mistake about it, Noah Dobson is a legit first pairing defenseman on most teams in the NHL. Now, I am a little bit biased. I like this kid going back to when he played junior hockey. So I've watched him a ton, followed him for years. So I'm on Team Dobson on this one.
Jeff, I think you might have made mention to this in a previous answer, but the Blues drafted Justin Carbonneau this year in the first round, and he has decided this week to stick with his opportunity in juniors, which means he gets to go to training camp and have the opportunity to make the Blues roster out of camp. I want to ask you a two-part question. One, what did you think of the pick of Justin Carbonneau when they made it? And two, do you think that's realistic that he could actually make this team coming out of training camp?
So first of all, I'm a little bit surprised that he was still there, to be honest with you. I don't know how much Blues fans have had a chance to watch him play with the Blainville Boisbriand Armada. But,
Every night we get
when
locked in. I have it locked on my television, Jeff.
Everyone's locked in on the QMJHL and what's happening with Blainville, Boisbriand, Armada. Let's go. Listen, the first thing you notice about Carbonneau is the shot, right? Like this guy already has an NHL shot, and he's not shy out there either. But I would be like, I can't BS your audience. Like, he's not going to play in the NHL next year. Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know that anybody from this past draft is going to play an entire season in the NHL next year. Now, we haven't seen that, and yes, I looked into it. We haven't seen that since 1986, with Gabe Chazowski playing like 34 games with the Islanders and Kevin Haller playing 2 games for the Buffalo Sabres. That's how far back this has gone. But I know the Islanders are hoping that Matthew Schaefer makes the team. I'm not so sure. He only played 10 games or so last year after the injury at the World Juniors. So not only do I not think that Carbonneau will not play for the St. Louis Blues next year, I'm not even convinced that anybody from the draft next year is going to play full-time in the NHL. There may be a couple of guys that get the 9-game audition and then get sent back to junior hockey, but I can't see anybody really, other than maybe Matthew Schaefer with the Islanders, playing an entire season from this past draft.
It's always great to catch up with our friend Jeff Marek, host of The Sheet for the Daily Faceoff. And if you liked what you heard there, you're going to like it even more coming up on the other side. We're going to ask Jeff Marek a little bit more about the Bowen Byram situation, the Blues' new transition to their more mobile, big puck-moving defenseman, whether or not that is something that is catching on not only here in St. Louis, but across the league overall. We'll get more with Jeff Marek, host of The Sheet for the Daily Faceoff, next year on BK and Ferrario.
Get social with 101 ESPN. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at 101 ESPN.
It's your shot to score a pair of passes to Holiday World and Splash and Safari.
Find that chance to win a pair of free passes to Holiday World and Splash and Safari right now at 101ESPN.com or your 101 mobile app.
And cool off this summer at the water coaster capital of the world. Plan your family trip to Holiday World and Splash and Safari today. The splash and fun begins at holidayworld.com. They are St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
We've seen the St. Louis Blues change their defensive core over quite a bit this offseason. A primary focus of that has been on getting younger, getting faster, getting bigger, and continuing their trend of moving the puck. Is this something that is specific to the Blues, or is it something that we're seeing across the entire NHL? We continue our conversation now with Jeff Marek, host of The Sheet for the Daily Faceoff, and that is where we begin with that question about the defenseman for the Blues and if this is a trend across the league.
I think everybody has. Do you not get the feeling that, like, if we have a look at all the teams that have won the Stanley Cup of recent note here, we think of the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning and the St. Louis Blues, and you think of, like, all the teams of Vegas Golden Knights, maybe the best example, all the teams that have won the Stanley Cup in recent years, what do they all have in common? They can all defend. They are all big. They can all move the puck. Like, I look back at that St. Louis Blues blue line when the Blues won the Stanley Cup, and that's a whole lot of Pietrangelo, and that's a whole lot of Jay Bouwmeester. Like, large guys that can move. The one thing that we've learned, as much as, the Nathan McKinnons of the world and the Connor McDavids of the world and the Nikita Kucherovs of the world are the headline makers, and they dazzle you in the regular season with their goal scoring and playmaking acumen. The way you win the Stanley Cup is pretty simple, and it's kind of old school. If you can't defend, then you can't win championships in the NHL. It is the one common denominator with all teams. Now, it helps when you have an all-world goaltender, certainly, but if you can't defend, there's no room in the playoffs to do any significant damage for your squad. So I kind of don't think that it's only the St. Louis Blues that have, sort of started to remodel their blue line like this. I think it's all teams in the NHL, really. I think that there's always going to be room for Quinn Hughes, obviously. There's always going to be that guy who's completely unique. But I think by and large, teams are I think back to what Tom Watt, who was an old scout for the Toronto Maple Leafs, used to always say, he's an old coach too. He used to say, I like my defensemen to resemble, and I got to get this right here, guys, agile, hostile, virile dancing bears. That's what I want my blue line to be. And I think that's what all teams are looking for these days. Agile, hostile, virile dancing bears.
Well, and it feels like they got a couple of those already on their team with, Tyler Tucker and Colton Parayko, and now what it sounds like with Logan Mailloux. One more on the defenseman, Jeff, because his name has just been in the rumor mill for the last couple of weeks. Do you expect anything to happen with Bowen Byram now that he signed that extension with Buffalo? Because I know the Blues were tied to him.
Sure. I think it makes him more tradable, but, who are you going to remove from the left side? Is it going to be Cam Fowler? Maybe. Is it going to be Philip Broberg? No. Tyler Tucker is a great third-pair defender, and I don't think you have a spot for Bowen Byram there. He has eyes, and rightfully so, being a first-pairing guy. So I think if you first of all, I think the signing makes him more tradable now for Kevin Adams and the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres have the feeling internally that their blue line is too young right now, and they can't have all these young D all at the same time. So I do think that this contract now probably makes Byram more expendable. I don't think that he's going to be there for the entire 2 years that this contract was signed for. If it's going to be St. Louis, though, does that mean you see the exit of Cam Fowler? Perhaps.
All right, Jeff, I've got 3 rapid-fire questions for you before we get you out of here. Let's start out with this one. Which Blues player not named Jordan Kyrou is most likely to score 30 or more goals this year?
Robert Thomas.
Ooh,
actually, you know what? Hey, no, how about this? No, Dylan Holloway. I'm expecting a huge season out of Dylan Holloway. Give me Dylan Holloway all day.
Where will the Blues finish in the Central Division this year?
I think the St. Louis Blues, if everything breaks right, I'm a huge fan of Jim Montgomery. I think they can surprise. I think this team finishes 4th.
And final one for you. Should the NHL implement a new 3-on-3 rule where if you cross the red or the blue line, you can't go back, or it becomes an over and back violation similar to the NBA?
Yeah, I get the reason why they do that. I think that's one of the rules that I would consider. To be honest with you, I would just get rid of the lines altogether. For the overtime, since it's really not traditional 5-on-5 hockey, why should we be married to blue lines and offsides to begin with? Just pretend that the lines don't exist at all and just play.
Just like cherry picking,
pond hockey.
But you know what? Cherry picking is great because it forces you to make a decision.
I love it.
Are you going to have someone back to cover that player, or are you going to take the 3-on-2 advantage?
Jeff, are you available to be
how about this one? How about this one? Considering that when the 3-on-3 overtime first started, it became something that coaches didn't know what to do with, so it was really exciting. Now that coaches have their hooks in this thing, it's kind of become, just a nonstop, endless cycle of neutral zone regroups. How about when the overtime starts, the coaches have to leave the bench?
Ooh.
Okay.
I like that. I like that.
That's really good.
Suddenly the captain is the coach.
Yeah.
I like that.
Players have to determine what they're going to do.
Every captain is a Reggie Dunlop now.
All right, that's it. I'm making it now. Jeff Marek for NHL commissioner when Gary Bettman retires. I'm calling for it right now, Jeff.
Please. Well, that lineup will be long, but I think it begins with Bill Daly. But I appreciate the nomination.
You'll be my write-in vote. Jeff, always love getting the chance to catch up with you, man. I urge everyone to check out the sheet over at the Daily Face-Off at 2 o'clock Monday through Friday. We really appreciate you hopping on with us, Jeff. Enjoy the rest of the offseason, my friend, and we'll talk once the season inches closer.
Always great talking Blues with you, boys. Thanks, guys.
That was Jeff Marek. Always enjoy being able to catch up with him here on BK and Ferrario. Alex, your biggest takeaway from our conversation, whether it be Bowen Byram, how he feels about the Blues offseason, where things stand with their defensive core, your biggest takeaway from our conversation with Marek was what?
I think it's what he said about Pius Suter. Talking about just how he fits into what the Blues are doing, talking about how he's never going to wow you with anything he does, but he just always seems to be in the right place at the right time. And defensively, offensively, I kind of feel like that matches what the Blues were hoping for. It was that, and it was also his comment about the transition of defensemen. And he said it's kind of the trend of everybody in the league. And he's right. Like, Florida wins it the last couple of years. Vegas wins it. St. Louis wins it. Edmonton tries to win it. Colorado wins it. It's always about the big, mobile, puck-moving defenseman, and adding a Mayu who might be that on top of the other guys that are already there. I mean, honestly, with the emergence of Tyler Tucker this past year, Justin Falk is the weakest link on this defense. And that's not a bad weak link to have, considering how he was last year.
He's a pro, if nothing.
Yeah,
he's legit NHL.
He's inconsistent, but can you get consistency for 60-plus games? That's what you want from it. So I think Jeff's spot on with those two descriptions of the offseason for the Blues.
It's interesting. I thought what he said about Bowen Byram is a compelling thought as well. He said it's a more tradable asset now that you know what he's locked in for. But then he went into what does that mean for the Blues? And he kept going into the left side of the defenseman. I think what he got to there is probably correct. If you trade for Bowen Byram, my assumption is you're not re-signing Cam Fowler. I don't think it means Cam Fowler is gone prior to the start of this season. I just think it means they would view Bowen Byram as his eventual replacement.
Yeah.
And I think for this season, he would likely be your second pair right-handed defenseman. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of what they had done with Justin Falk, where he came in that first season, he was on his offhand. It was an uncomfortable situation for him. And then year two, he got into the natural spot, right shot, second pair, and that's where he eventually fit in.
Yeah, you're loading up now to make yourself elite on the defensive side, and then the next season, it's, all right, well, you've already been established. Now we put you in your normal spot with Broberg, with Mayu, with Parayko, and you've got the top four moving forward.
I also wanted to get your thoughts. Most likely, Blues player not named Jordan Kyrou to have 30 goals next year.
I liked the Dylan Holloway one. I think Dylan Holloway, but I don't mind him saying Robert Thomas. He loves Robert Thomas, and I agree with him. I think Robert Thomas is pushing on that 90-plus point plateau, and it's just a matter of staying healthy, because I think he would have gotten to 90 points and close to 30 goals this season if he would have stayed healthy. I like the Robert Thomas one. I think those are the only three that can realistically get to that number. Kyrou, Holloway.
Missed any of our conversation? with Jeff Marek. Recommend checking it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app, free to download, super easy to use as well, and that is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. If you guys missed any of our conversation yesterday, we had Tony Vitello, baseball coach for the Tennessee Volunteers. The Cardinals drafted his former starting pitcher, Liam Doyle, at number 5 overall, gave us some insight into the Cardinals' newest pitcher. You can also find that over on the podcast page right now. Coming up next, how does Brendan Donovan fit into the Cardinals' future plans? He's their all-star representative tonight. Is he going to be an all-star consideration for the Cardinals in future seasons? We'll talk about that next here on BK and Ferrario.
Open up your 101 mobile app for your chance to win a pair of 4-day passes for Major League Pickleball. Sponsored by Stella Artois. July 17th through July 20th at Chaffetz Arena. 101 ESPN listeners can get a special discount on single-day and 4-day tickets by using the code WXOS. Find all the details on that special discount code and that chance to score free 4-day passes for Major League Pickleball. Sponsored by Stella Artois. Right now at 101ESPN.com. or on your 101 mobile app.
Jamie Rivers here with Katie from Elite Comfort Experts. You are now
Spread Zone, where sports betting meets reckless optimism, questionable logic, and the occasional stroke of genius. With hosts Anthony Stalter, Tim McKernan, and Scott Rizzuto. Check out the latest from the Spread Zone at 101ESPN.com or the 101 mobile app. The Spread Zone is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
Donovan reps the Redbirds tonight. Good afternoon. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet plus Johnny Londoff Autoplex. 101 ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball's 95th All-Star Game kicking off post-fast lane. Cardinals standout Brendan Donovan expecting to appear at some point. NL manager Dave Roberts has already revealed his starting lineup. Shohei Ohtani batting leadoff. Then Atlanta's own Ronald Acuna Jr. precedes Ketel Marte. Pirates ace Paul Skeens getting a second straight Midsummer Classic nod. Hockey Blues preseason action beginning September 20th. 2 consecutive road tests, actually, featuring Dallas as well as Columbus. This Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
So what's the future hold for Brendan Donovan? If you have not read the piece yet, Derek Gould had an unbelievable story. It was basically a profile on Brendan Donovan earlier today in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. It is absolutely worthy of your time. Talks about his upbringing, talks about his time at South Alabama, how he became the player that he is today, which is, I mean, for me personally, my favorite player on the Cardinals. I love Brendan Donovan both on and off the field. In my opinion, he's one of my favorite guys to talk with. I talked with BT about this on Friday, Alex. I asked him who his favorite guy on the team is to talk with. He said Brendan Donovan for all of the same reasons that I would have listed. He's thoughtful. He's interesting. He will give you something more than just a canned answer. Like if you ask him a question that really makes him think, he'll think about it and then give you an honest answer. And that's not always the case. And on top of that, he's just a really freaking good baseball player. He does stuff that winning teams need. He will play anywhere, just all of these different things. So he's a really good baseball player. He's 28 years old, and now he just made his first All-Star team. And he's a worthy candidate. This wasn't just a situation where the Cardinals needed somebody. The guy's hitting nearly 300 this season. So the question then becomes, Alex, is this one of one for him? All-Star as a Cardinal? Could it be the start of something more? He is right now in the prime of his major league career at the age of 28. And this gets into kind of the future planning for the Cards. They have J.J. Weatherholt coming. He's probably going to be a second or a third baseman at the big league level. Don't know what the future is with Nolan Arenado. Don't know what the future is with Nolan Gorman. Don't know what the future is with Thomas Ajacey. And that all brings into consideration, what is the future with Brendan Donovan? He has 2 years remaining on his contract. He's making like a little less than $3 million this season. He is right now on a very similar trajectory contract-wise to what Tommy Edman was on in his time with the Cardinals. Probably looking at about $6 million next year in arbitration. Likely $10-ish million a year after that. And to put that in context, Tommy Edman signed a 2-year deal worth $16 million with the Cardinals to avoid those 2 seasons of arbitration, which is basically what Donnie would be looking at potentially this offseason. And then Edman signed a deal worth 5 years at $74 million. That included the $10 million for this season. So basically a 4-year, $64 million contract. Alex, do you think, for your money, Brendan Donovan is somebody that you would like to keep around for a contract probably similar to what Tommy Edman got at the age of 30 from the Dodgers, roughly 5 years, about $75 million. Is that something you would do if you're the Cardinals?
You're talking about what?
12, $15 million a year.
Yeah, I would sign that. I would lock it up. I think you need a leader on this team moving forward, and to me, Brendan Donovan is it. Reading Derek Gould's article, hearing people talk about Brendan Donovan's personality, he's a guy that isn't a loud, boisterous leader. It's more do as I or follow what I'm doing. Like
Correct.
Copycat me because I put the work in. And I think when you're talking about these younger guys that are going to be taking a step moving forward, guys like J.J. Weatherholt, Mason Wynn, who's already here, Thomas Ajacey, anyone else that steps into that Cardinals clubhouse, you need somebody that has an identity of the team. And I think Brendan Donovan is that identity of the team for the Cardinals. People in St. Louis love their work boots mentality, right? Jake Neighbors is why he's a fan favorite in St. Louis. I think you need that now for the Cardinals. And Brendan Donovan is it for me. And I know the people that fall into the trade side of this conversation that say just trade him and you could get the best return possible. Does a trade of Brendan Donovan, do you really think it brings you something back in return that makes you better now than what it does with Donovan?
I don't know. I think you could get a lot for Donnie.
I don't think you're going to get a more impact bat for Donovan.
Agreed.
And I don't think you're going to get an ace back for Brendan Donovan.
Agreed.
And that's what you're missing right now. So if you pluck Brendan Donovan out of this team, you're not bringing that back. It doesn't make your team any better. In fact, it sets you back even further. I think. Go ahead.
Just to have a quick retort on that, because I agree with you. I would keep Donnie here. But hearing Kerry Davis make the case the other day, I was like, it's a compelling one. You have J.J. Weatherholt waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
And if you think J.J. Weatherholt can basically replace what Brendan Donovan brings on the field, and you trade Brendan Donovan away to get a legit, I don't know, number 2 starter, like use Donnie plus prospects to get a very high-level starting pitcher. Not an ace. You're not going to get an ace. Those guys don't get traded, much less for a guy like Brendan Donovan, who I think is a very good player, but not a superstar. That is something that I think is at least worthy of bringing into consideration in conversations like this.
Sure, but can I replace Lars Nootbaar with Brendan Donovan?
What do you mean?
Like, Brendan Donovan is now my left fielder.
Okay.
And
I think he's better at second.
Sure, but I go off of what I have right now.
Lars Nootbaar with J.J. Weatherholt. Maybe that's his future.
Or maybe Sajasi is that for that. I mean, like, you have pieces to replace. What you don't have on this team is leadership. And I think it's important to have leadership before you go anywhere. If you're trying to get out of a uncompetitive window, you need somebody that can take the reins of this team and direct them in the right way. And I don't think Arenado is that. I don't think Contreras is that. Maybe Burleson or Herrera is. But right now, Brendan Donovan is. And I keep that.
I think you're probably looking at something similar to this Edman deal. I think that's probably roughly the conversation that he'll be in money-wise. Jake Cronenworth signed a 7-year, $80 million deal. He was earlier on in arbitration whenever he signed that. You also had, now this was a free agent deal, I believe, but Jeff McNeil signed his extension with the New York Mets there as well. And he's making real money. So those are kind of the comparables. He signed a 4-year, $50 million deal as well. Those are the comparables that you're probably looking at if you're Donnie / his agent and you're saying, okay, this is kind of the range we want to be in, somewhere in that 4 to 6-year deal, $50 to $75 million. It's probably about what he's going to be asking for. I think if I'm the Cardinals, I would do it because he is still a pretty good value at that contract. I think in a worst-case scenario, if you decided, you know what, we need to get out of this, you could trade him down the road. It's not something you want to do, but it's something that is at least there for you as an out in this kind of a deal. And I do think he has value, whether he's at second base, third base, outfield. I think there are other ways that you can make this thing work. So I would try to keep him. But I don't think it's as cut and dried as it would appear to be on the surface, where it's like, Donnie, good player, keep him around. Just get it done right now. The Weatherholt aspect of all of this, I think, is what makes it really interesting.
Yeah.
Because you have a guy that appears to be a potential internal replacement, and Donnie has a lot of value to you and also has a ton of value across the league.
Yeah.
Cheap, cost-controlled, young, very good baseball player.
I personally think that Weatherholt is going to force the Cardinals into trying this Arenado thing once again in the offseason.
I think so, but it's so much harder. There's so many paths of resistance there.
It is, and especially, I mean, he didn't have, like, he was fine this season. He didn't have the greatest season, so I don't think people are knocking down the doors, but does some team fall short because they don't have a third baseman? Like, do the Yankees not acquire a third baseman and say, we got to fix this spot, and that's where you go on that path? That's where I think step one is for the Cardinals, to try and keep all of these pieces and eliminate one that is the odd man out. But I do think before I'm talking Brendan Donovan, I'm talking Lars Nootbaar, and I'm figuring out somebody that can play that corner outfield spot.
Yeah, I've got a few different names that I would probably go to first. I think part of this conversation is also, what could you get for Donovan? Like, are you really aiming high? Like, would the Seattle Mariners be willing to talk about one of their pitchers for Brendan Donovan, right? Would you be able to get an even better pitcher from the Rays than Taj Bradley, who I've been bringing up in recent days? I don't think they would do this in division, but if you called the Brewers what could you shake from that pitching pipeline tree?
For sure.
Those are the kinds of things that you could potentially be talking about. Somebody from the text line brings up another question. Commit to J.J. Weatherholt as a shortstop, trade Wynn or Donovan for a very good pitcher. You've got to trade something good to get something good in return. Of the young guys, Wynn and Donnie are really the only players that could get you that. I think that's another consideration for the Cardinals.
Trade Mason Wynn.
Would you consider moving on from Mason Wynn? I think my answer to that, again, is no, if possible. But if you truly believe J.J. Weatherholt is a shortstop at the major league level, and you think he's going to be a better offensive player than what Mason Wynn has been thus far, and Wynn gets you a haul in return, it's another thing that this offseason, I'm fascinated to see what they do, man.
Yeah,
They're going to have a lot of options presented to Chaim Bloom in his first offseason as the president of baseball operations.
I think I would much rather just load up my infield and know that, like, for the future, it probably Herrera or Burleson at first base. You've got Weatherholt at third, Donovan at second, and Mason Wynn at shortstop, and then figure the rest out. And if that doesn't work, then you can make other decisions accordingly, but that's what I would prefer to do.
In my ideal world, it looks like yours. Arenado is traded, Nootbaar's probably traded, and you build around this young core group of position players.
Yeah.
If Arenado says, no, I'm not moving, and if you can't get the kind of return that you're looking for with Lars Nootbaar, that's where things get really interesting.
Yep.
And then it becomes a question of, okay, what do we do? What's our plan here? Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, we're going to hit the rewind, give you our final thoughts on last night's home run derby, start to preview what we could see in tonight's All-Star game, give you our biggest storylines to watch in that as well. It's all next here on BK and Ferrario.
Tonight, it's the MLB All-Star Game. Pre-game at 6. First pitch at 7. The MLB plays on 101 ESPN. The 101 Reward Center is always loaded up with awesome giveaways. And right now we have your chance to win a tailor-made golf bag. Enter to score that sleek tailor-made golf bag right now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app powered by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We're right back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Let's run it back with a daily rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Lou, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page after the show today, 101ESPN.com and the free 101 ESPN app. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
When you get over there, you'll see our interviews with Jeremy Rutherford and Jeff Marek. Both great conversations. If you want Blues content, that is the place to get it. Alex, last night was the home run derby. You hated it?
I didn't hate it. Don't put bad words in my mouth.
Underwhelming, not fun, lacking stars. I think all of these were things I heard in our open today.
And all of those were very true, but that doesn't mean I hate it. There could be a lot of things that I enjoy that's just boring, but it wasn't appointment television for me. And I just think it's because it's bringing in the new era of baseball. That's fine, but to me, when you get the stars that you want in there that have opted out, it just loses some of that excitement.
Totally get it. I think last night was all about how you feel in regards to Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh is one of the faces of the baseball season. That doesn't mean he's one of the faces of baseball, but of this season, he has been one of the top storylines. He's a catcher. He's a switch hitter. Doing what he's doing is unreal. We haven't seen this in years, decades even.
Nearly broke Bonds' record.
So for him to have 38 home runs at the break and to win the home run derby, a pretty remarkable thing. He's probably going to finish top 3 in this MVP this year. If he does, he'll be the first guy to win the home run derby that was top 3 in the MVP voting since Judge did so back in 2017. So it's been a long time since we've seen this before. We'll see him represented tonight in the All-Star game. Brendan Donovan in the All-Star game, that is your representative for the St. Louis Cardinals. I believe it's the first time ever they've had one representative in 3 consecutive seasons. Alex, American League versus the National League tonight. It is a pick'em over on in the Vegas odds. How do you feel about this one? Who do you think is going to get the win?
I think the National League wins this one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any strong takes on it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What is your biggest storyline heading into it? Because typically you see something, right? Whether it's a last hurrah, like when Albert was there, that was the storyline, at least locally. The year that Jeter did it, like there's typically some kind of a big storyline. Do you feel that pull in this year's game at all?
I didn't, but I know both of you did.
Mizorowski. To me, he's the story.
And I think it's just the young pitching, too. Mizorowski, Skeens, Skubal, like the elite pitching in terms of youth. That makes a lot of sense.
I want the immediate handoff for all 2 innings, Skeens straight to Mizorowski. There you go.
I think it'd be great. I think Mizorowski, in all seriousness, is the storyline tonight.
Everybody's been talking about how he didn't deserve to be there, blah, blah, blah.
We didn't talk to you about this. How did you feel about this?
I thought he deserved to be there. I mean, when I think of the All-Star game, I'm showcasing my league's best players. This dude right now is taking everyone by storm. And what did we talk about with JR? Like his 12-year-old son knows everything about these guys. That's the audience Major League Baseball wants. And guess what? Those are the kids that are watching Mizorowski go out there and strike out every single person that they face.
Dude, it's so funny. I have seen so much pushback to this.
Yeah.
You had that opinion. Bradford had the opinion. T-Bone had the opinion yesterday as well. I'm in the same category with you. Like, I think it's great. I think it's great for baseball that Mizorowski, while healthy, young, pitching at what very well may be his best, has a chance to pitch in this year's All-Star game.
The same as Skeens last year, where he makes Major League Baseball the year he's drafted, and he starts the All-Star game. And people are like, oh, what's going on? It's like, the dude has elite stuff. Showcase this kid.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's some real stars on either side of this thing. I know Jeff Passan said this yesterday. He was on the Pat McAfee show. He said baseball has a lot to offer right now. It's an easy sell. There's young talent in the game. The games move quicker than they once did. It is a better product to follow. I think he's right on all of those different things. So I'm going to have a hell of a lot of fun watching this one tonight. I hope you guys do as well. You'll be able to hear it right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame coverage for this year's All-Star event will begin at 6 o'clock right after the Fast Lane. We'll certainly be breaking things down for you tomorrow. If you missed it, we will have Chris Kerber in studio tomorrow during the 12 o'clock hour. So be sure to tune in. We have a number of questions that we've seen on the text line that, frankly, we don't have the answers to. Curbs might have the answers to some of those questions when it comes to the Blues' future of their broadcast. So he'll try to answer some of those for you guys tomorrow when he joins us in studio. For Alex Ferrario and Bradford Bruns, who's done a fantastic job filling in for us over the last few days, I'm Brandon Kiley. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next.